touchdown! Warren in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Anzio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik for the touchdown.
Now here's Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak.
Welcome in. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. Smokey is under the weather, taking a bit of a turn today, but he'll be all right. Probably back on Monday with Craig because I'll be gone. But some big news in the Big 12 in the transfer portal today. We'll get to that. Also, tonight's the first night of the CFP with Bama in Oklahoma. We'll talk a lot about that today. We've got Zach Barnett of FootballScoop.com. We got Brian Estridge, the voice of TCU Athletics, and we have Mickey Spagnola, Dallas Cowboys. .com with us. And Craig, how you doing? We had separate, you had a Christmas party last night, right? We had a Christmas party. You had a Christmas party. So how was your party last night?
Yeah, man, it was good. Just, hanging out with some folks around where I live and had a good time. Good to be festive and excited about this weekend and the game starting tonight. Obviously, Oklahoma, Alabama, a pretty big banger to start things off with, and got a little skin in the game there. So very almost like nervously excited about tonight. But, yeah, had a good time last night. Sorry I missed you guys, but I'm sure y'all had fun as well.
Craig, how do you feel about a white elephant gift exchange?
I always find it kind of awkward. Like, I don't know. I've only done it a couple times with my family, and it's always just kind of disorganized. So I don't know that I've ever really experienced a well put together one. So I can't really comment too much on that, but yeah, it's kind of messy when my family tries to do it. It's sort of awkward. So yeah, that's my experience at least.
So I'll just say this, and then we'll get to the big story. Last night we had our Christmas party, and I was picked number 3, and I opened a box that looked like a pizza box because, I love pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? And it was a $25 gift card to Shorty's Pizza Shack. 10 seconds later, Brandon Rose stole it from me, and I was not able to steal it back. And I wound up with a rubber dog crap key holder, hide key. So I lost last night. And Brandon's like, man, I can't wait to go for this pizza. Like, he's not even going to let the thing get cold. He's going to go use that gift certificate within like 3 or 4 days.
Oh yeah, shout out Shorty's. I mean, they got good pizza and they got pitchers of beer. So.
Yes, they do. They do. Well, it sounds like thing. You got a good Christmas gift there, Brandon. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, white elephant's not my favorite because of that very reason, where you get something 1 second and the next thing you know, like you're sitting holding rubber dog crap or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's also a game of luck, but also skill, I suppose. So sounds like Brandon won last night.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I thought, like I'm gonna go open this thing. It might be a gag gift, but hey, it was what it was. But Craig, earlier today, got the news that Josh Hoover, TCU's quarterback, will be entering the portal. I'm not surprised by any of this anymore at all when people jump into the portal, but he did jump in this morning, and you look back to the spring where he was pursued pretty heavily by Tennessee. TCU had an uneven year, to say the least, although I don't think he was by anywhere near a problem with it. He still has a bit of an issue with interceptions, but their running game, I think, was the biggest deal, and their defense at TCU that didn't click for them. But Josh Hoover's in the portal. He will be well sought after because, this guy's got 9,700 yards passing, a ton of touchdowns, and there will be schools out there interested in him. I wonder if Tennessee will be interested in him again and some of the other ones. But your thoughts on Josh Hoover leaving a gigantic gaping hole on TCU's offense?
Yeah, just a minor correction. You were busy with the party last night. This happened last night. This is absolutely last night. This was out there after we left the show yesterday and was a big talking point. But you guys were white elephanting it up, so I understand. But, yeah, this happened last night and was kind of surprising. And then, again, not really that surprising. I didn't anticipate necessarily this offseason starting off with the Big 12 quarterbacks kind of getting rated a little bit. Sorsby looks like he'll probably stay in the league with Texas Tech based on the way the wind's blowing right now. Hoover looks like he's bound for a destination outside of the league. Then you got some guys who are just graduating and moving on, but it was a pretty star-studded and big class of potential at the start of this year, and I don't think it really panned out that way with Leavitt's injuries, and then TCU was disappointing, and Sorsby in Cincinnati faded down the stretch, and Baron Morton had a good year, but he was totally overshadowed by basically everything else on his team, quite frankly. Sawyer Robertson had good numbers, but the team was bad, and his numbers, I don't think, always reflected actually how he played. So it was a bit of a mixed bag, but it's still a league that had a lot of talented guys, and for the ones that want to hang around a little bit while longer and don't want to go to the NFL or don't have the grade that they want, which I'm assuming is the case for Josh Hoover here. And we know for Brendan Sorsby, it's still a matter of, I guess, him waiting to hear more on his draft grade. But whatever they did or didn't hear, they're going to go make some money elsewhere. And I think for TCU, it's awfully disappointing. It's a guy who was big about loyalty a year ago and sticking around and could have gone some other places, could have gone to Tennessee as they were rifling through the Big 12 quarterbacks there at one point after Nico's situation. And they got denied a bunch of times, and he was like the main guy that we talked about that could have probably hopped over there that decided not to. So I don't know what's changed. Kendall Browse is gone, so there's a starting point of something that's different from just a few months ago. But he's a really good quarterback. I think the signs have pointed to Indiana as a strong possible. It's the same schools that go for a quarterback now every year, right? Indiana, Miami, wherever Lane Kiffin is. They're probably all going to dabble, but it seems like there's a lot of signs pointing towards him in Indiana. When I was looking around yesterday and a little bit today, Sorsby seems sort of locked in for Tech. So, we'll see where he ends up, but I think he'll make a lot of money. He'll definitely be a guy that's probably making that like $4 million or so. That seems to be sort of the average now for a big-time quarterback. He's got a very good arm. The drawback for him is the turnovers. He doesn't just throw a lot of interceptions. He fumbles the ball quite a bit, and last year that was a big problem for him. But outside of that, he's got a very good skill set. He's a good player. It just didn't seem to really click all that well at TCU this year for whatever reasons. And a part of it was they didn't have a great run game or a run game at times, and they were just sort of there. They were competitive, but not really in ever the conversation of being in the mix for the title after the first few weeks. And he just was sort of in the background to me kind of this year, whereas I thought he would be more at the forefront. So disappointing year, I think, overall, even though he had pretty good numbers, and he'll go somewhere next year, make a hell of a lot of money, and be a guy that I think a contender is hoping will help lead them to the playoffs. So I would love to know his NFL feedback, Sorsby's as well, just to know what they're turning down and just to have a little bit more insight into their choices. Because is it a matter of the grades weren't good enough and you come back and you make a bunch of money and then you try it again next year? Or like, really what I know, like, is the money so good that you're like, no, screw it, I'm going to stick around college for another year and I'm going to go play at Indiana, or I'm going to go play at Tennessee, or I'm going to go play at Miami or wherever? That's the part I really want to know. But yeah, it's a big splash and another big name in the portal.
I think if you get a day 3 grade as an early entrant to the draft and you can go make $4 million, you should go make that $4 million. Because once you get, and I think a lot of people maybe don't know this about the draft or realize it, once you get past about the first 10 picks of the fourth round, there's not a lot of difference between those picks and Mr. Irrelevant as far as like overall grades go. It's really close. So that means you could be, the first pick of the fourth round, or you could be the last pick in the draft or undrafted, depending on who's drafting where and what falls and what their needs are, and if they need a developmental quarterback, which is what you are if you're a day 3 quarterback pick. So that means that you'd be passing up, one more year, really good money in college. So I think that there are there's just too many good reasons to go back unless you're a day 1 or 2 pick. To, if they said like, yeah, look, you're not getting past pick 58, I'd be like, all right, well then maybe I'll go. But if they say I'm going to be a 3rd day pick, then I think I've got to stay. Yeah,
I mean that's where I would just love to know is just kind of understand the thought process a little bit better and understand what he's turning down or what others are turning down, and that's significant. If guys are turning down being drafted to make more money in college, I think that's notable. And I just would be curious about his draft grade and Sorsby's as well. But Sorsby's, I guess, is at the point where he's still weighing whether or not to go. Although, again, a lot of momentum for Texas Tech and Sorsby to connect and be a duo next year. So for Hoover, the team that I keep seeing is Indiana, which would make a lot of sense, is they got to replace their Heisman Trophy winner. They like to transfer quarterbacks as well. And I think that he's a guy who you really look at and love a lot about him. But the big bugaboo is the turnovers. I mean, there's no doubt about that. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns, 71 touchdowns over the last 3 seasons where he's started and won and played in a lot of games. But he also has had 33 interceptions, and I don't even have his fumbles total, but there's a good number of fumbles that are involved in there as well. So that's something that maybe in a new system, new coaching, he can clean up a little bit. I mean, every time we've interviewed Sonny Dykes the last couple of years and we've talked about Josh Hoover, that's what I've asked about, is just like the ball security. That's the big question about him to me, is just the volume of turnovers and really untimely turnovers at times. So that's really the weakness if there is one, but he's a really good player. And I think with the right coaching and the right team, he can be a guy that's worthy of that big price tag and the big gamble to be the guy to put you over the top and get you to the playoffs. So Indiana or whoever is going to get a really good quarterback, and he's going to get a really good deal and then eventually work his way to the NFL at some point. But for TCU, the team that gets left out here, it really sucks for them. I mean, he's not going to play in the bowl game. So little did you know when you last saw him, that was the last time you were going to see him in a TCU uniform. Now he's going to be another tale of a guy who was your guy for 4 years, and now he's going to end his career somewhere else and be that guy's quarterback when they announce him at the NFL draft and when they introduce him on Monday Night Football. And that's the part that is just like annoying to me as a fan, where a guy could be at Oklahoma State for 4 years and then he goes to LSU for a year, and he's an LSU guy, right? And it's like, but he's here for 4 years. So Josh Hoover was a TCU guy through and through, and now he's going to be a Indiana guy or whatever. But that'd be a really good pickup for them. And I don't know what TCU does. I'm not entirely sure of their positioning right now as far as their depth chart and what they would want to do moving forward. I mean, they obviously making a change at OC, so that changes things up and probably play into this somewhat. But Sonny Dykes will find a quarterback, and I'm sure they'll be okay. But it's a blow to the ego, because he was your guy, and now he's leaving for other pastures. And it's also a situation where you probably thought, okay, if he leaves and he's at least going to the NFL, he's not going to stick around college football and just leave us. But it is what it is, and it's the era that we're in. So I think from the standpoint of just, hey, if you want more excitement in the transfer portal and you want more names, well, here's another big quarterback that now suddenly makes things a little bit more interesting.
Well, I know he's not going to follow his OC to South Carolina because they already have a quarterback. So, right. And they already have at least currently a backup to that quarterback. So, in Aaron Nolan. So they've got at least currently a progression plan at South Carolina. So he's not going to follow Kendall Briles. And so we'll see what that means for TCU. And
they got Schobel, from a couple years ago, the longtime Baylor commit, and I don't know about the rest. That's the one name that I do know off the top of my head. So not sure where his progress is or development. But again, TCU can just go jump in the portal as well, and they probably will to just grab a veteran or something. So we'll see on that. But yeah, it sucks. I know. Saw our friend Steven Simcox is a TCU fan who kind of commented on the big loyalty play that there was last year for him coming back, and it's like loyalty, and then here he is a little while later, and it's like, all right, see you later. And so there's little to no loyalty nowadays, and it's a business, and so I don't fault Josh Hoover for that. I think it sucks, and I don't think it's great overall for the sport. It is great for social media, though. It's great for having constant chaos and calamity to talk about and dunk on opposing fans for, and that stuff's all very fun. But yeah, from just a pure fan standpoint, it's not the most fun thing in the world when there's basically unadulterated free agency at all times. So that's just part of the deal, and part of what you live with right now as a college football fan. You can lose guys, but you can also gain guys. So let's see how TCU manages this situation.
Yeah, loyalty is only as strong as your options,
right?
And it works both ways, And look, how loyal or how committed can you be to me that financially that another place can't? We're going to talk about Kelly Dillingham in a second. Ken Dillingham, if he takes the Michigan job, I don't think it's being disloyal. He's just like, this is better resources for me.
No, and I think with Josh Hoover, it's not that he's disloyal. I'm not saying that. Yeah. It's just that last year there's a lot of talk about loyalty and loyalty to TCU and all of that, and now you fast forward and like the situation changes. So no, I don't fault him for that. It's just don't get caught up in the loyalty thing and think that that's the way that it was. It's very much not. And so yeah, you've got to do what's best for yourself. And I'm just a little bit surprised, but he didn't have like some superstar type year. So again, I don't know where his NFL draft grade was. He was not mentioned in the mock drafts that I was seeing as of late as some high pick, and this is not some great quarterback draft either. So I think he'll be a really good player for probably Indiana next year, and I look forward to seeing some of these quarterback dominoes fall so then we can have a better idea of kind of what to expect big picture-wise. But I'm sure this will all move very fast, and here in the next few weeks we'll see DJ Lagway and Brendan Sorsby and now Josh Hoover and everybody else that's jumped in the portal start finding their landing spots. But it is interesting to see how quickly some of these landing spots have seemingly been decided, even though the guy's been in the portal for 5 minutes. I mean, it was 30 seconds after this announcement. People were like, oh, yeah, he's bound for Indiana. And then same thing with Sorsby and Tech. It's like, wow, weird how quickly we figured out where they're going. Wonder how that happened. And it wasn't just educated guessing. It was because there's very clearly no rules and everybody's just being tampered with or tampering. And this is all being decided it's not supposed to be getting decided, but it is because there's no one to police anything. So yeah, a lot of these guys jumping in have already like worked out their deals for the next destination, but we at least got to sit back for a second and pretend like we don't know where they're actually going. Right. So yeah, we'll probably hear in short order. I'm sure we'll get like the typical Christmas break post from somebody of Josh Hoover's going to Bloomington or whatever. But yeah, if you love the portal and you just love the names and kind of the calamity it can bring, then this is a guy who spices things up.
Well, I can tell you this. So this is my last show, for this year. You guys are doing a couple others, but I'll be gone. But the next show back will be January 2nd, which is the day the portal opens. And it will be like that legal tampering period in NFL free agency where we get up on January 2nd and there's going to be 70 announcements of, so-and-so's going here, 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 and here. And you're going to be like, I thought it just opened. Well,
no, yeah. I mean, it's all predetermined. I mean, Texas Tech fans have already bought Sorsby jerseys basically at this point. I mean, I'm somewhat tongue in cheek, but the feeling I get is that they're like convinced he's going there. Indiana fans feel pretty strongly about Hoover. So yeah, I mean, this stuff's not just being, it's not like he jumped in the portal last night and all of a sudden everybody's like, wait, what? Like, I'm sure he's already picked out his apartment and all of that. I mean, that's just the way that it is now. So I don't know about the timing of when we'll actually hear announcements. And then I'm sure there are some people that you see Josh Hoover jump in the portal and he didn't have an agent or himself or whoever that was already previously discussing it. Maybe they jump into the mix because now they know you're available. But yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is predetermined. And you've already, especially with the quarterbacks, you've already had some pretty significant conversations and you have an idea of what your market is and who your market is. And so this will probably move pretty quickly, but sucks for TCU, part of the game. will be great for whoever gets him. Needs to clean up the turnovers, but he's definitely a really good quarterback that with the right coaching and the right players around him can be super successful and be a guy that's in the playoff mix next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very curious. And there's a lot of really interesting quarterbacks like him on that. Like I saw David Evans' podcast today describe like DJ Lagway and Dylan Raiola as like distressed assets, where they're like really highly recruited 5-star guys, but they haven't hit their potential yet. So where do they go? I would not consider that on Josh Hoover. I think Josh Hoover is I'd maybe even be more comfortable if my situation was like a veteran team with a guy like Josh Hoover.
I'd much rather have Josh
exactly.
Hoover than Lagway or Raiola. I said, hell, I mean, that's not even a comparison in my opinion.
He's different. He's on that tier. Like he and Sorsby and guys like that are on the tier just kind of like above it where
dude's been a multi-year starter and won a bunch of games, played a ton of football compared to those other two guys, and he's been in the heat of battle for 3 seasons now. So, he's much more experienced. He's much more polished, and I think he's a much more sure thing, depending on what you're looking for, than those two guys who, I think have a lot to prove. Raiola's still living off of his prospect grade. Lagway's stock went way down based on just how ugly this year was, and then the injuries, I think, also playing into that. You have to take that into consideration with him as well, and probably Raiola, but Raiola's a guy who I feel like we talk about for every reason other than his actual game. A lot of the time, it's always like the Patrick Mahomes thing, or it's just where's he transferring next and all that. I think both those guys still have a load of talent and skill that can be utilized and be brought out and be improved upon with the right coaching. So hopefully those guys make the right choices and get in the right situation so they can live up to that billing. But right now they're very much living off of potential still, and Hoover's a proven thing at this point. Yeah, absolutely. Another proven quarterback, the leading passer in the ACC, Darian Mensah, the quarterback of ACC champion Duke. That was like a drinking game when I was in high school. It's things you never hear. Oh, we're talking football. Okay, I thought we were talking about basketball.
But ACC champion Duke, Darian Mensah is going to stay. He had checked into his draft stock and his options. He had told very, very public about it. It's Duke or the NFL, and likely got a day 3 grade. And he's making $4 million at Duke. So go. Now, Duke needs to spend more money around him so that that leading passer translates into an ACC championship appearance that doesn't end in controversy, I guess, with a 5-loss team. But they are the ACC champs and paid off for him with Darian Mensah. And, again, leading the ACC in passing. He's a really good player, and they've got him back. So, let's see if they can improve.
Yeah, I think it was a nice story and obviously a very nice ending. I think it's insane that he's making $4 million a year, but I also don't know what the market is. So if he's making $4 million, then Josh Hoover's going to make what, like 7? I mean, Brendan Sorsby's going to make what, 7 or 8? Because I think they're better quarterbacks. But Mensah's really good. Don't get me wrong. And obviously the $4 million is worth it when you go and you win the ACC. So I think you feel like that paid off. Obviously disappointed that didn't lead to a playoff berth, but can't lose all the games you did prior to that, and they know that. So now they get to run it back with him, and they have an ACC title tucked under their belts now, and they can roll that into next year with some momentum and some promise of the direction of the program and proof of concept, and now a big-time quarterback coming back. So, that's great news for Duke. Don't know, again, I mean, he had a really nice year. Don't know what the draft grade must have been, but I'm thinking it had to be like late day 2 or day 3 for him to decide to come back. So that would be interesting to hear on all these quarterbacks, like what they're turning down to come back to college as opposed to going pro, which would have been the obvious choice for a lot of these guys just even a couple of years ago. But great news for Duke, really fun player, good player. And the Blue Devils now get to defend their ACC championship with the quarterback back in the mix. So that is definitely notable for next year's race and for them in the big picture.
Absolutely. And I was hoping that when he went in the portal last year, this was before FSU got Tommy Castellanos, I was like, oh, that's the guy they got to get. And then when I heard $4 million, I was like, yeah, they're not going to get him.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems a bit ridiculous. But again, I mean, what's an ACC title worth to you?
Yeah.
He had a good year. He protected the football, had really nice, numbers and leadership of that offense. And they have a lot of work to do to get to a position where they're not just winning the ACC, but winning the ACC and getting into the playoff. But it was a great first step. And obviously a pickup from Tulane that paid off really well for them. Tulane managed well as well. So I think at both parties, I mean, Tulane ended up in the freaking playoff after losing him, thanks to, in part, Jake Retzloff. So one of those situations where it worked out okay for both sides. And now we'll see what another year can turn into in Raleigh for Mensa and the Blue Devils there.
The playoff begins tonight. One of those teams that plays tomorrow, 11 o'clock Central Time, kickoff noon on the East Coast, is Texas A&M, and they announced that Mario Craver, one of their star wide receivers, is coming back, has signed a contract extension. And again, we've got to get used to saying this in the context of college football, but the weird part about it is the highest paid wide receiver in Texas A&M history. Well, they've only been allowed to talk about that for like 2 years. So it's just weird to see that there, even though, like, shouldn't be a shock.
And I should say Durham on Duke, not Raleigh.
Okay.
I was thinking of Raleigh-Durham, but Durham. I think the other day we had this brief discussion about contracts being announced, and I was okay with a guy who is a major figure coming back, and you announce, like, hey, he's coming back, like your starting quarterback. I'm okay with that. I think the example we were talking about was Jaden Mayava. And I was all right with that, because if there was a question of whether – it wasn't a question of whether he's going into the portal. It was a question of whether is he going to the NFL after this great year that he had. And so if he announces that he's coming back, I'm fine with that. And you making a big deal of it on your social media. And Lord knows that social media channels, particularly these college football channels, will use – I mean, the bum on the street, respectfully, says that our quarterback's the number one quarterback in the entire country, and they'll make a graphic for it. Like, I mean, literally anything to promote, they will use it to promote the school, right, and promote the program. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's like, oh, is that good news? It makes us look good. Boom, slap it on a graphic. And so I'm totally understanding of how the I'm coming back announcements will be the next big thing, kind of like recruits commitment announcements and all of that. What I don't love is like the details of all this and the fingerprints of these agents that are all over this graphic. And we're not showing the reporter who had this, guys. I think we need to at least show who had that. And I'm forgetting his name. I think he works for On3, and he does the Aggie website. And I'm in a moment where I don't remember his name. I think it's like Callaway or something. And I found it like, it's cool, like how honest you're being, but it's also really gross. Is I saw this graphic and I saw a number of people pointing out how gross it is to put the phrasing in here of the highest paid wide receiver in Texas A&M history, because who told him to say that? The agents.
Yeah.
Who told him in the tweet right below to credit the agents and their Twitter handles? The agents. And so this is just all agent stuff right here. And as far as the highest paid wide receiver in Texas A&M history, I mean, going back to the last, 4 or 5 years we've been doing this whole thing. So my God, what a huge accomplishment to be the highest paid guy in the last 4 years of this actually being a premise. But I get it. You're promoting your client, you're promoting your big time wide receiver coming back. But I hate that part of it. And that the guy, that reporter, had a bunch of people in his mentions that I saw. They were like, dude, stop. Like, don't promote it this way. Like, this is gross. Don't put like the agent stuff and the highest paid wide receiver. And this is where I appreciate the honesty. And this is also, I just think, this generation where I don't know how to describe it, but he basically just said of like, well, if I want to rise in this profession, that's the stuff I have to do. Is like credit these agents. And I was like, wow, that's refreshingly honest. It's also just really gross to me, right? Like how robotic your response to that was like, if I want to succeed in life, I must credit these agents. And it's like, yeah, you're right. But being so transparent almost makes it feel even more gross of like just how honest that is. But we see it all the time with Adam Schefter, with all of the NFL reporters. They're all puppets for the agents and for the league. And so they are constantly, when you see guys, who got called out big time for like Ian Rappaport, I think got called out for this, where he was pumping up Devin White from the Raiders. And it was clear that the agent had like put something in his ear about, well, the Raiders suck, but Devin White's having an awesome year. And then a bunch of analytics guys were like, Ian, bullshit, man. Like, this is agent spewed garbage So that happens in the NFL, and it is, I guess, for reporters like this, what you have to do to keep climbing the ladder. So I appreciate the honesty there, but I almost wish that we didn't see the workings behind the curtain, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to know that you're doing this to appease the agents so that you can move up the career ladder. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just find that all very gross, and I get that that's part of the deal, but it doesn't have to be. Like, and so the highest paid wide receiver in Texas A&M history, like, I guess that'll be the new trend. I think that's lame as hell, even if it's true. Now, to the actual Mario Craver, now I've gone on this rant, I mean, that's a great re-signing. We're just gonna have to get used to this wording and all this. And I see this too of like, well, get used to it or don't love it. Well, maybe I won't love it. Maybe I just won't like it. I don't have to like anything, and I don't have to like everything about college football. I can have some bitches, and I think how we're going to now start announcing re-signings is probably going to be a bitch for me, and it clearly is for a lot of other people. But Craver's a really good player, big-time impact guy for them on offense. You hope he has a great playoff, because if he does, then A&M's probably winning some games. He's a great combo with Concepcion and that running back core that just can't seem to stay healthy, but they have a really nice wide receiver duo, and so bringing him back, I think, is a great move for next year. You'll have Marcel Reed back, and you'll have probably a good number of guys back next year. So this is a nice piece for them, and just on the surface of that, great move. It's going to take some getting used to all this other politicking and agent work and all this other stuff that's not going to come with some of the news that we report on. So
yeah,
that's where my head's at, obviously.
Like, if you order a dish at a restaurant and it comes with a side dish that you don't like if you don't like the rice pilaf, you don't have to eat it. Chris.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of bootlickers that are like, well, get used to it or just go away. And it's like, that's always the dumbest, most lazy, low IQ argument. It's like, no, I don't have to go away. I can still watch college football and love parts about it and not like other parts about it. And guess what, pal? I am going to keep watching, and I don't like the agent hat tip on these announcements so that you can move up the career ladder, as you just so openly admitted. So go screw yourself. I don't have to like this part of the game, but I can't understand that it is now part of the game, and I'll get used to it, but it's just a little bit jarring to see it initially, and I don't really love it at first sight, but I understand that it's going to just be a part of the way things are now moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. This is 365 Sports.
Batteries Plus has teamed up with the Dallas Cowboys as the team's official battery recycling partner. Batteries Plus doesn't just sell batteries, they recycle them too. Customers can bring in old lithium batteries from power tools, power banks, and small electronics for a chance to win Cowboys tickets, a VIP experience, and more at qualifying locations. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
PettyClinicLowT.com can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. 1 out of every 3 or 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone, and Dr. Kent Petty and his staff want to help you out. Is your energy lower than normal? Are you just not feeling the same? Are you lethargic? Something's wrong. And you're in pretty good shape, you have a decent exercise, and you sleep okay. So that could be your testosterone level inside of your body, and 1 out of every 3 or 4 men that deal with this. So contact Dr. Petty at PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell them I sent you, and they will set you up to get your blood work, take care of that appointment, and then get the results and get back in touch with you. And if your testosterone level is too low, Dr. Kent Petty and his staff can help you become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, and used to be by putting you in a program. Make you feel better. You will feel better at PettyClinicLowT.com.
Go-to guy, can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Get car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf car batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
At Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, we're proud to be your premier destination in Waco for exceptional automotive service. Whether you're searching for a new vehicle, a quality pre-owned car, or dependable service and parts, our team is here to take care of you every step of the way. Visit Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco, where great deals, friendly service, and your next ride are waiting. Come by, let's be friends.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Ooh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Welcome back, 365 Sports, live from the in-laws' house. Zach Barnett, and it's the holiday season, so those things are going to happen. Zach, CFP starts tonight, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But you guys all over the coaching moves and all of that. What do you think, now that we've been a week past it, is going to happen at Michigan?
That's a great question. I don't have a name for you of this guy that I think is going to get the job, or even a guy that I would say is a leader, because Michigan is still very much trying to get its own house in order. The interim president made a video this week, which is never a good sign when your interim president feels the need to speak into a camera about how sweeping and they're going to turn over every rug and all that stuff within the athletics department. So I would say that Ward Manuel, the AD, is very much living on borrowed time. So they've hired Turnkey to manage that search. And so obviously there's work being done there. But somebody somewhere has to give the thumbs up, say, yes, I approve of this guy getting the job. And I don't know exactly who that's going to be right now. And if you are the agent candidate, then you're certainly asking, all right, who am I going to report to that's still going to be here 6 months from now?
Kenny Dillingham has been in the news as a candidate that's been mentioned as a possibility, and then he's had some emotional press conferences here lately professing his love for everything Arizona State and living there and his family being there and all of that. And then today, people who have been doing kind of the detective work noticed that in response to one of his players announcing their intentions at the end of the draft, for the first time, I guess, in weeks, Zach, he said Sun Devil for life as a hashtag. So people reading into everything that Dillingham's doing at the moment, would that give you some belief that maybe he's working out that situation in Tempe and is likely to stay? Or do you think that this Michigan job, so long as it stays open, his name's going to be involved?
Yeah, I think Kenny's. If I'm an Arizona State fan, and obviously they're well versed in this by now, anyways. But you're going to have to kind of hold your breath every time one of these jobs open, simply because Kenny Dillingham has a lot of fans across college football and gets more fans every time he opens his mouth, just because the guy keeps it real. So I think. Again, Kenny said so many different times how not interested he is in leaving, and Arizona State, how special that job is and what that place means to him. For them to turn around and leave, I would say it's unlikely, but certainly not impossible.
Zach, quarterbacks hopping all over the transfer portal. Who do you think is the best value add of those quarterbacks so far?
I've been a really big fan since the 23 season of Sam Leavitt. This guy, I mean, just about everything you want in a college quarterback physically, he has. I think he has a long way to go. Emotionally. I'm not impressed with the way that he talks to his teammates on the field. So hopefully he can, and all the tea leaves indicate he's probably LSU bound. So hopefully Lane Kiffin can coach that out of him a little bit. We'll see. But he's a guy that if we're talking about now as a Heisman Trophy winner a year from now, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. Like I'm not Mr. NFL drafting and trying to project him on that plane. but I mean, he's got a little bit of Baker Mayfield in his game, and I really, really like him as a player.
So last year, leading up to the Big 12 season, a lot of talk about the quarterback group that they had, and it was up and down, kind of overall. Some guys living up to that billing, some guys not quite. But now we're seeing a bit of an exodus. You've got Leavitt that's now on his way out. Sorsby, I don't know what you're hearing, Zach, but it sounds like Texas Tech's like all but a done deal for him. And then now Josh Hoover, with a lot of indications that maybe Indiana's the destination for him. Just your thoughts on Sorsby and potentially Tech, but also any surprise that Josh Hoover's jumping into the portal at this point?
Yeah, Josh Hoover, everyone assumed would follow Kendall Briles to South Carolina, and that's apparently not going to happen now with that Lenora Sellers sticking around. So, yeah, Indiana seems most likely for him, and I concur everything I've heard from my Texas Tech people is basically that everything's over, but the final signatures for Sorsby to become a Red Raider. And then the big talk is that DJ Lagway is going to be interested in Baylor. So I checked on that, and I would be surprised if that happens. But you know, we'll see.
I mean, I at the Christmas party last night, several people were talking about that. I just don't see if DJ Lagway, and I think Jake Spavital is a great quarterback coach, but if DJ Lagway needs better stats and better things to jump up, like even though Spavital can make him a better quarterback, I'm not sure that he's going to want to step onto a roster that's unsure as Baylor's, because Baylor is going to be like Baylor is probably the team in the Big 12 that I think will have the hardest time building their roster because of it's not unsure about Dave Aranda at this point. Most people think that he's gone, barring some sort of crazy miracle.
Yeah, I agree. If I'm advising DJ Lagway, I'm thinking where can I go in a year to potentially be a first round draft pick? And you probably put up a lot of yards, throw for a lot of touchdowns at Baylor, but I don't know that that's going to change the trajectory the way he needs to. And honestly, I mean, if I'm DJ Lagway's representation and there's an open big quarterback's job in the Big 12, I'm calling Oklahoma State and seeing what can Eric Morris do for my guy in 1 year, considering how hot he is and the success that his quarterbacks have gone on to have. But obviously, you might have a competition from his own quarterback and Drew Messemaker.
So a lot of moving pieces as far as that goes. You got Bo Prabula that jumped in the portal as well. Mensa coming back. It's just kind of crazy, this quarterback carousel. But I also think that while the coaching carousel's quieted down, we got a little bit of an unforeseen bombshell this week with the move Texas made yesterday, Zach. Moving on from Pete Kwiatkowski and also Dwayne Akina and bringing Will Muschamp back into the mix after some time at Georgia. My first thought was, hey, you can't beat Georgia, so bring in a guy who can give you some insight. But obviously there's a history there at Texas as well. At one point, the coach in waiting. So your thoughts on them moving on from Kwiatkowski, and also what you think the mindset sort of is as they bring Muschamp in to replace him?
Yeah, I definitely think that the Georgia thing was an added bonus and certainly part of it, but obviously not all of it. Dwayne Akina was as good as gone, basically from the jump. Like, he was not really what they were looking for. It was just kind of a stopgap hire. So I think Sark, in kind of getting a chance to sit and really think about where his team is and where he wants it to go, was like, all right, well, I got to go hire another safeties coach, and this person, whoever I hire, is going to have to kind of be a co-defensive coordinator, because PK doesn't really involve himself much and burden himself much with coaching the secondary guys and calling the coverages. He kind of offloads that. And so Sark was, as he said today, was spending more time than he really wanted to with his defensive coaches on the defensive headset, and not thinking about his offense and coaching his offense. So he really wanted someone that can go be a total defensive coordinator. In his own words, Will Muschamp's going to be the head coach of the defense, and whatever he says goes. And he's really just going to delegate that entire side of the ball to him, and just put more of his emphasis on being the head coach and roster building and all that, and then on the offense on game days and during the season.
That was a weird way to describe that, though, with Pete Kwiatkowski. And look, if it's not working out, it's not working out, and you got to let him go. But it was just such a shock to see not only it happen because their defense has been really good, but also the way it was described and how maybe he felt he had to do more. I don't want to use the term babysitting of Pete Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that term thrown out this morning as well. And, I mean, certainly it's not a move without risk. You look at the last two seasons, and Texas has largely dominated Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And while certainly that's not everything for a season, it counts for a whole lot. So now you're saying goodbye to him and thinking you can upgrade it, and maybe you can. Or maybe if you go get shredded by Oklahoma or A&M, then you're going to have a lot of people being like, well, why did we make this move at defensive coordinator in the first place? But on the other side, Sark says, at Georgia, importing that, you're going to have a lot more physical defense. You're going to have a more physical offense by having to go against that defense every day in practice. So I think Sark putting all his chips and trying to go win a national championship in 2026.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. It's also one of those where if his offense struggles again, it's like you have nobody to point to after that, right? Like, so it is a calculated risk, like you said. All right, so plenty of off the field continuing to go on tonight, though. The CFP starts, Zach, and everybody's got their opinion on the CFP as a whole. But what's your excitement level for Alabama, Oklahoma, and I guess the whole weekend? But your thoughts on this rematch between the Sooners and the Tide tonight in Norman?
Yeah, I'm heavily intrigued by both of these games, these local games. I don't feel good about picking Alabama to go on the road and beat Oklahoma, considering they lost to them twice their last two games, and the way that they've played over this past month, they didn't look great. Even that win over Auburn. But I also don't feel great about picking Oklahoma to win. They've kind of banked in a 3-pointer to beat Alabama both times. So to think they can do that 3 times. I don't know. Like they have not been able to scratch out consistent offense. The last time Oklahoma has driven more than 50 yards and run more than 5 plays to score a touchdown was in October against Ole Miss. Like it's either they find Isaiah Satania open for a touchdown or they don't score at all. So I'm picking Oklahoma simply because it's at home, but I would not be surprised at all if Alabama won.
Yeah, the 3 times in a row to beat a team in the SEC is tough, no matter who it is. But Alabama, to me, Zach, they just look so uneven. They can't run the ball. Their defense is either like shuts you down or 3 drives in a row can't do anything. They've got a really good quarterback, but they can't back him up with that run. The offensive line has a Caden Proctor on it, but it's not great at blocking. They're one of the more confounding teams to me.
Yeah, I think it all boils down to this is the worst Alabama rush offense in like 70 years. And so Ty Simpson played like a Heisman Trophy candidate through the month of October, but in November has fallen off considerably. And I think he's wearing the burden of not having any help. So his play has fallen off. He's turning the ball over more simply because he feels like he's got to go out there and do absolutely everything for that offense because he pretty much does. The 3 of us ran for more yards against Georgia than Alabama did. So they're getting Jam Miller back. Is he going to go out and play like vintage Derrick Henry tonight? Most likely not, but anything helps from that side of the ball.
So in the other localized game here, Texas A&M welcoming in Miami tomorrow, the early kick, 11 a.m. This ought to be some hellified trench warfare, but how do you feel about the matchup overall, and can A&M defend their home turf here?
Yeah, if I'm A&M, I'm not happy about having to play Miami because I think Miami's a better team than Alabama right now. So Alabama not dropping after that performance, if I'm an Aggie fan, I'm not happy about that at all. Again, if this game was in Miami, I'd feel pretty confident about picking the Canes, but it's not. I think this is kind of generic football analysis, but whoever wins the turnovers is going to win the game. Marcel Reed throws 1 or 2 picks pretty consistently, and that's also been Carson Beck's reputation. But he's thrown in Miami's 10 wins, he only threw 4 picks, and he threw 6 in their 2 losses. So if he can avoid the meltdown, I think Miami's got a great shot to go win this game. But A&M's corners are really, really good. The receivers are really, really good. So if they can lock down the outside, then A&M's got a great chance to go win this game, so long as Marcel Reed doesn't cough up.
I think that's the difference between Carson Beck and a lot of quarterbacks on his same level is that, just compared to some of the other quarterbacks just in the playoff, the one he's playing, Marcel Reed, yeah, he can melt down a little bit, but he bounces back better. When Carson Beck melts down, man, it is a meltdown. And that is what Miami truly has to avoid. But if they get Malachi Toney loose for some big plays and pop those running backs on some runs and beat up A&M up front, certainly, this is the Miami team that people saw earlier in the year. But also when it comes out of coaching this one, it's Mario Cristobal versus Mike Elko, and I don't think there's much debate over who's the better in-game coach in that one because it's Mike Elko.
Oh, absolutely. And if A&M goes out and gets up 14-3 or something like that, I feel like the field is going to tilt in their favor pretty significantly. So I feel like whoever wins or whoever leads at halftime is probably going to win this one. And certainly an early lead definitely favors A&M, I feel.
All right, Zach, to wrap it up, expectations for the other 2 games. I know these are the games featuring the G5s. There's been a lot of conversation about that. Tulane Ole Miss, a rematch. What are kind of just your expectations, your hopes, and your thoughts on JMU Oregon and also Ole Miss Tulane Part 2?
I envision myself peeking over to watch that Montana State game and Harding Ferris State for the Division II National Championship. I think those games will frankly be more interesting than either one. It's certainly that Oregon James Madison won. James Madison's only played one top 50 team all season long and got beat pretty convincingly in that game. Tulane, of course, they have a chance. The Lane Kiffin factor, who knows how that affects them. But then at the same time, Tulane's dealing with the same thing with John Summerall moving on to Florida. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Tulane kept it close early, but I'd be very, very surprised if they won.
Zach, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Thanks for this year. Smokey will be in touch about the next couple weeks, and certainly appreciate your insight and everything you guys do at footballscoop.com.
Thank you. Enjoy the conversation.
Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com with us here. And I cannot tell you if you really want to follow, they've got an assistant coach tracker on there right now, which and this may not interest anybody else. They may not care as much. But if you're a football fan and wondering where the assistant coaches are going and all that and things you like to track, which I do, it's been clutch. It's been super clutch for me. Super, super clutch.
Yeah, they do a good job over there, and good to have Zach on with us and talking about a variety of different things. The carousel is just basically all centered on Ann Arbor, Michigan right now, but there's a lot of the peripheral coordinators and position coaches and things that are being hired, and obviously your personnel guys nowadays are bigger than ever before. So, yeah, a lot to still discuss despite the fact that a lot of the jobs head coaching-wise have been filled up. I mean, that Michigan job, though, is probably selling subs all on its own for various Wolverine websites. And then you got stuff out of the blue like the Texas situation, which I think it's a thing where you can see where Sark is coming from. I think he really threw Pete Kwiatkowski under the bus with his comments, and maybe those were directed more towards Akina. Like, I don't know. I didn't watch the press conference. I saw the kind of paraphrasing of it and then listened to Zach and read others and their kind of thoughts on it. But, I was just kind of taken aback when I saw how he sort of phrased all that. And, look, it's a situation where you – didn't have a lot of room to upgrade, quite frankly, defensively. Like, you weren't perfect, but you had a really good defense nevertheless, but you feel like you can get better. Okay. You feel like you can go get a guy who maybe gives you some insight on Georgia. That makes sense as well and can be the head coach of the defense. Like, all of that makes a lot of sense, but the offense had some issues as well. And Sark, that's fully on him. So I think for Sark, he's not in danger of losing his job. He's not on any sort of a hot seat or anything like that. But this is one of those moves where next year you can't go fire the defensive coordinator again. You've got to. There's only so many moves you can make before you're the guy who has to go get somebody else to call plays, because that's the remaining issue that you guys can't seem to get over. So for this offseason, we'll blame it on the defense. and, I was distracted, so now I'll be undistracted. And then maybe the offense is incredible next year, and that really was what solved it. Or if the offense looks similar to what it did last year and the defense is about where it was or a little bit better and they end up in the same spot, there's only going to be one place to look after that, and it's going to be directly at Steve Sarkisian. So I think the Muschamp hire is very intriguing, and maybe it's the magic wand that they need. But if it's not, then, there will only be one place to look after that.
And look, I'm not trying to disparage Will Muschamp here, but is he that much better?
He's an interesting guy because he has like a cult figure status, especially with the places he's been. So like with him being the head coach in waiting at Texas, and they had, #boom and like all the stuff that came with that. He's a very fun guy to have on your side and a fun guy to cover. And he has really good defenses, and he's a great defensive coach. Not a good head coach, but a really good defensive coach. And so I think there's some excitement that's obvious that you can take away from that and be up for as a Texas fan. But it doesn't, to me, if you're somebody who's really like following it day to day, I don't think this is like, they solved the problem that we had. It's like, well, this didn't fix the offensive issues. So that's what I'm saying is you could stand to get better on defense, and you can be better there, but you're not like going from 70th to top 5. You're like top 10 trying to be top 1, I guess. So it's not a really far bridge. But if he can close that and make you the number 1 defense, then maybe that's the key to unlocking your full potential and to getting back to the playoff and winning a playoff game. But there's way more room, I think, to grow on the offensive side. So we'll see how they address that. And have they had an assistant coach already move? Was the wide receivers coach or something? So there's some change over there too. But eventually it's on Sark. So we'll see how next year goes, but it's definitely a hire that's going to feed the fan base. It's great chum to throw in the water because he's an easy guy to root for when he's on your side, like I said, and just the stuff that comes with him, it gets you excited about them defensively. But if they fall short, then it's not going to be Muschamp's fault, and they won't be able to just fire him and say, we'll go get another defensive coordinator. It'll be squarely on the shoulders of Steve Sarkisian because he's the head coach, and ultimately, he's the guy that's got to get him over the hump, not his coordinators.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, what's the future quarterback for TCU and a postmortem on the season from Brian Estridge, the voice of the Horned Frogs. That comes up right after this on 365 Sports.
The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco. General Manager Nick Colwell, and so many things going on right now. Great news, extending your special promotion. You can take advantage all throughout the month of December. When you book an event for the month of January or February for next year during the month of December, you could also receive your choice of free decor or free audio-visual setup for your event. Whether it's a corporate gathering, celebration, kickoff event, private events, the team will handle every detail for you at the Baylor Club. Layouts and timelines and seamless coordination. Start the year stress-free and fully supported. Your Baylor Club private events number is 254-710-8080 or go to BaylorClub.com. Excited to share new food items, specialty cocktails in the restaurant. Become a member today. Enjoy a full lineup, upcoming holiday events. Plan an exciting calendar of activities in the new year, from pregame basketball dinners to family movie nights to cocktail making classes and additional holiday celebration. And there's something for everyone. For more information, tell them 365 Sports sent you. Membership sales at 254-655-7928 or go to BaylorClub.com.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
At BK4, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
So it's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
Welcome back to 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and Brian Estridge, voice of the TCU Horned Frogs, our good friend. Brian, we have not spoken in far too long.
I felt like you were avoiding me. I did send flowers.
Yeah.
I just assumed you were sick. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I hope you got those, and I hope they worked out for you.
Yeah, they did. I did. I really meant a lot in a friendship way. In a friendship way. Brian, obviously last night the news drops that Josh Hoover is leaving. In today's college football world, nothing can be a surprise, right. Especially given it is a little more surprising given, especially since Tennessee made a very obvious move for him after Nico, and he decided to stay at TCU. And now with 1 year of eligibility remaining, he's kind of pushing all those chips into the middle of the table. Cash-wise, how big of a hole on the roster does this leave?
I think that obviously when you lose a guy who is number 2 all time in virtually every category at quarterback at TCU, that's a pretty big hole. Let's be honest. And but in this day and age, don't we just kind of come to expect this now, Paul? It's unfortunate. And a reason I bring that up at the beginning is because I hope and I trust that Josh and his family considered the fact that if he would have come back for his senior year, he would have walked away from TCU as the all-time everything. He would have been number 1 in yards. He would have been number 1 in touchdown passes. He would have been number 1 in completions. He'd have been number 1 in wins, more than likely. You think about the long-term impact that can have on your career if you do business in Fort Worth. There's something to be said for that. If you're the all-time number 1, right? And by the way, those would have been records that would never be broken because no one's going to stay that long anymore. And so I hate that we're walking away from that, to be honest with you. But again, as I said, this is kind of, hey, you expect this in college football today. And so, yeah, was it surprising that it came down yesterday afternoon? Yeah, I thought he was going to stay, I'll be honest with you. But I think apparently, and I don't know any specifics, but that the money is just too good to not chase it. And I think we all know. Paul, look at you. You've been chasing that dollar for years.
Yeah,
it's gotten you.
Yeah.
So, how do you think Josh Hoover will be remembered? Because when he goes off to the NFL, it's going to be Josh Hoover. Maybe once in a while he'll say TCU or his high school, but it's going to be like Indiana or whatever after 4 years in Fort Worth. That's the part that's always just.
See, Craig,
rough for me.
Already, I can tell you've been doing some homework when you didn't just drop Indiana for a reason.
Oh, it's totally random.
Yeah,
totally
right,
random.
Right, totally random. yeah. That's a great question. I you would like to think that folks have short memories and can get past the fact that he does leave for his senior year. You remember all the good that Josh Hoover did while he was here. But, I mean, fans are fans, man. Fans are fickle. I mean, TCU sitting with 8 wins right now, about to, in search of win number 9, and you got half of them wanting an entire regime change, which is crazy. And so I think that, I think that this day and age, you either have to, if you're going to accept the money, you've got to accept the fact that folks are not going to be happy with you leaving. You're going to make one fan base really happy and one fan base really sad, and the group that's sad is probably not going to forgive you.
So, Brian, when you look back at this season and the issues that kind of plagued them a little bit, what do you think that Sonny will focus on the most as he tries to rebuild that offense? Obviously with a new coordinator and offensive line coach and all the things that come with it, but personnel-wise as well.
Sure, and plague is a tough word for me, Paul. I'll be honest with you.
Or struggled.
But again, this is a team that's about to win 9 games if they pull this bowl victory. And there was a time in college football, and you guys remember it, where if you said at the beginning of the year, "Hey, we'll give you 9 wins right now," you'd take it. Everyone would take it. Now, that does not cover up the fact that you lost some games that you shouldn't have lost. That in those games you had a couple of things. You had way too many turnovers, and you had way too many negative plays. And so I think the addressing of that has already occurred in the offseason with the hiring of the new offensive coordinator from UConn. This is a team at UConn that didn't have negative plays. They had 26 touchdown passes and 1 interception. They had a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard receiver, and so I think that hiring Smolas as his offensive coordinator, that was the first move that Sonny Dykes made to say, okay, we've got to be better, and we've got to be better in these areas. This guy has been good at that. I like the fact that it'll be a fresh set of eyes. This is not someone that has worked with Sonny before or worked with Sonny, one of Sonny's friends or things of that nature. I mean, this is a guy who's going to bring in a new style, a new fresh set of eyes on the situation, and hopefully it's successful like it was at UConn.
Yeah, I really like that hire, and it seems like UConn fans were exceptionally bummed to lose him. I mean, they did a lot of good up there. Jim Moore, an incredible job, and could have stuck around, but obviously decided to take a different job as well. There's like Dave Aranda's on the hot seat entering next year. Like there's no doubt about that. We've seen a lot of turnover in the Big 12 as far as some decisions here made recently. You mentioned Sonny Dykes playoff 3 years ago, about to win 9 games. You would think that there'd be no talk whatsoever. Is there any talk whatsoever? Just kind of what's the feeling about where the program finds itself right now?
I think there's talk everywhere, Craig. I mean, you think about it, is anybody safe anymore? I mean,
right.
You're right. You go to the national championship game in 2022, and you're about to have back-to-back 9-win seasons if you win this bowl game. Who in the world gets fired over that? It's ridiculous that anybody's even thinking along those, unless you do something egregious. And by the way, you got one of the nicest guys in the business. I'm not trying to sound like a spokesperson for TCU here. I'm trying to be honest with this is a problem that we have in college football. Dave Aranda, another one who's had success, who is a really nice guy. And sometimes it's okay to reward good people. It's okay to hang out with good. Be careful what you wish for sometimes, and so I think that, the way college football is today, you're always going to have people that are upset. I mean, you're always going to have people who think there's someone better that they're, and listen, we're all replaceable. There's no question about that. But I think you also have to be appreciative of what you have. And I think TCU, feels that way with Sonny Dykes, a guy who, as you said, has had terrific success his 4 years here.
Brian, it's so weird that the state of college football, and there are, it's easy to blame the coach every single time. Yeah. It's so easy to blame the coach because they're the one who's at every single press conference. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who have to answer all those questions. They're the ones who set
big bucks.
Yeah, they're the ones who set the policies for the program essentially. But you can have, Sonny Dykes could channel the spirit of Vince Lombardi and Bud Grant and all these guys into his body. And if the university doesn't support him to the level that other universities support their coaches, he can X and O to death, and he's still going to be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. No.
So do you feel TCU, especially with when you see the shift of Texas Tech all in, BYU now has been kind of like they're all in. Arizona State's got to make that choice here in a couple days, if not sooner, whether they're all in or not and keep Kenny Dillingham. Do you think TCU is all in as they can be?
I mean, what's all in anymore, Paul? And
Yeah,
by the way, if you're going to mention all those NFC Norris coaches and not mention Wayne Fonts, I mean, but I think that you have to be reasonable, though. I mean, all in to me is, are you committed to winning, and are you going to give your team everything that it needs to win? I think TCU is doing that and done that, facility wise, coaches, salary wise, coaches pool. He's got plenty of money to spend on coaches. He's got all he needs staffing wise. They just built a brand new weight room with a snow room, which your sweater would look great in it, Paul. I mean, you got all this going for you. Now, are they going to write an unlimited check for $100 million to go sign players? No, but should they? I mean, who thinks there's a good ROI there? And maybe Tech is proving us all wrong that you can't just go out and spend ungodly amounts of money and it wins you a national championship and it pays off for you. I want to see it, and if that happens, then maybe I'll change my way of thinking. But I still think there is some fiduciary responsibility that comes with being an athletic director that many of them do not display. And I think that's a real problem in college athletics. Look at the coaches' contracts that are out there. Look at what we're doing now with players and the money that we're spending. I think there is a responsibility that the adults in the room have to have. And that's the only way we can sort of get any semblance of guardrails up on a system that's flat out of control.
Yeah, and TCU can be all in, but doesn't mean they have a magical billionaire oil man or 100,000 living alumni. Like, all in's different for everybody, right?
Totally different. No, that's a great point, Greg. I mean, you're right. I mean, TCU, fortunately or unfortunately, is 2 inches wide and a million miles deep. But you got other places that are 29,000 miles wide because they got so many alums. And so I think that, every situation is different. Will TCU always be, competitive when it comes to the investment in football? No question about that. There's no question about that. Are they going to be willy-nilly with the money and just go drunken sailor on people? No, I don't think they're going to do that.
I think the key is you just have to be aligned and be committed and then understand that there are going to be years like this one where you think you've done everything right. And guess what? It didn't work out, but is it the coach's fault or is it
you only won 9 games?
Yeah, I know. You thought, you won that. What are your expectations for good and bad seasons?
Yeah,
you have to have that.
That goes back to what we were talking about earlier. And I've said this to Sonny before. I bet you could have walked into Spike Dykes' office every year as a head coach in Texas Tech and said, "Hey, coach, I'll give you 8-3 right now, or you can play the season," and he would take 8-3.
Yeah,
and you can't do that today.
No, that'll get you fired in about 3 years.
Exactly. You can't do that today and keep your job.
So,
and that's just where we are.
So on the field, I wanted to know what it was like covering Eric McAllister and just what maybe were some of your favorite parts of this year's team as far as the standouts go. He obviously had an incredible year statistically and was a big play guy. But when you look back at this 2025 TCU team, what are you kind of what was your favorite parts of covering this team this year?
Sure. I think there were a couple of things. I think one was the North Carolina game to start. I mean, the Bill Belichick era begins in Chapel Hill, and you go there and you find a way to win. And I think to me that was sort of a tone setter for the season. There were obviously some disappointing games for this team along the way. BYU was a disappointment. Iowa State was a tough one, but I thought the grit they showed against Cincinnati. And when your back's against the wall late in the season and you had to come up with wins, you found a way to do that. I mean, the Arizona State game, it was a great college football game if you didn't have a dog in the hunt. And I think TCU found out, much like others did, including Texas Tech, that, Arizona State's a tough place to play. And we learned a little bit about the league, right? We learned a little bit about what it takes in this league to win. So, I think that this is a team that, has a lot of really good character guys on it. And to me, that's one of the things that I'll take away from it is that, there weren't a lot of yo-yos, if you know what I mean, guys that you just wouldn't let babysit. Now, there's probably a couple that I wouldn't let babysit, but still, you've also had teams in the past where they had 30 guys that you wouldn't let babysit. And so I think in that regard, I thought at times Hoover was as good as there was in the country. Eric McAllister was a guy that to me, the thing that stood out with him was, his yards after catch, how physical of a wide receiver he is. He never went down on first contact. You had 3 tight ends that could make plays when they were utilized. You had 2 linebackers that were amazing this year. Caleb Elarms-Orr had a stretch where he was, double-digit tackles, 5 or 6, 7 games in a row, back-to-back 15-plus tackle games. Those are special days. The personality of Bud Clark at safety. McCashlin at kicker, a guy who's a backup kicker who all of a sudden was thrust into it, and toward the end of the year, you finally get you're able to trust him, and you see the success that he had. So I think all those things will be memories, and the fact that you're going to go to San Antonio to a pretty dang good bowl game, and you get to play USC again, where the resurgence of TCU football all began back in 1998, and the memories for me, I'm being selfish here, but will come rushing back to that sunny day in El Paso when TCU beat Paul Hackett and Carson Palmer and USC back in 1998. And from there really elevated and jump-started the program. So it's kind of a full circle moment, if you will. And then now you throw into it the storyline of the Alamo Bowl, and you're playing against another Pac-12 team, or what we would consider to be a legacy Pac-12 team, and you're doing it with a backup quarterback. Much like they did against Oregon when Bram Kohlhausen led the comeback, and now you're going to do it, in another similar fashion, and Ken Seals has his opportunity. So a lot of storylines, a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I love the way that you can connect the dots there, especially to kind of the full circle moment there, because that's awesome and a cool way to look at it. So you mentioned Ken Seals. So what does the quarterback position look like? I mean, is this one where you've got Seals for the bowl game? That's without a doubt. Like, moving forward, is it Schobel? Like, what do you anticipate as far as how Sonny now will attack, knowing Hoover's not going to be back in the mix?
Yeah, it'll be Seals in the bowl game. In fact, he met with the media today, and he was very candid and smiling, and said, "Hey, I've waited for this opportunity. Started a bunch of games in the SEC at Vanderbilt. Now gets a chance here at TCU, albeit in his last game as a Horned Frog in college football." But they met with Schobel and had a good conversation with him, and told him, said, "Listen, we're going to bring in a guy. They're going to bring in a guy who's got some starts, and they're going to create competition for the job." And he said, "Now go win it." That's what Sonny Dykes told him. He said, "We're going to bring in a guy because you have to. I mean, let's face it. You can't go into next year with a redshirt freshman who hadn't taken a snap in a game. That would not be smart as your only quarterback." And so he said, "We're going to go sign a veteran player, and we're going to have a competition, and we'll see who the best man wins." And so, I think they've already identified a couple of guys. Craig probably already knows who they are, and he's not sharing them with us. But that they're targeting, and we'll see if they close the deal on those guys. And if they do, then I think the Frogs will be in pretty good hands.
Yeah, I think it's, especially for that offense that's going to be installed, I think there's going to be a couple like intriguing guys that might even come from places that it might not be on the Sorsby level, so to speak, as far as name recognition, but some really good, like,
you guys already know. I mean,
really good.
Why wouldn't you just go ahead and say it, Paul?
Yeah,
I'll write it down.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to put you in a bind.
No, you're not going to put me on. I'm curious.
I don't like. There's a couple guys like that ODU quarterback that I think it would be really good. I think is Colton Joseph in that offense. I think this is just my opinion. Like there's a kid from West Florida who's had a ton of stats, and then you've got who knows what's going to pop into it, but. Is Brad Jackson from Texas State going to jump in the portal? Like, that's a guy. What? Yeah. So
that's a good name too.
Yeah. I mean, so
what's the quarterback in North Texas going to do? Is he automatically going to Oklahoma State? Do we know?
Yeah.
I think he's got to at least play the market a little bit, right? I mean, he's a guy who's got to at least drive up the Cowboys' asking price to go just follow suit, but I don't think that's a guarantee necessarily. Yeah,
I heard someone who's a football mind say this to me yesterday, Craig, who said, if you are a starting quarterback in college football, no matter where you are, you should enter the portal every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the way the market is today. That you would be crazy not to, because you are leaving money on the table.
Yeah, I think unless your situation is just so great that there's no possible way to top it, which, for some guys, maybe that's the case. But yeah, if you're Drew Mestemaker, you don't have to just jump right to Stillwater. You can play the game, and there's going to be a number of teams that come at you. If anything, you just drive up the price, even if you're still going to end up in Stillwater.
Yeah,
and follow Eric Morris, you get a couple million more out of it.
Or you could just stay.
Or you can just stay. Yeah.
Hit the portal, sets the market. I mean, guys do that in the NBA draft, right? Oh, yeah. I'm in. No, I'm not. I'm out.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah, even if I'm the quarterback at Georgia or Notre Dame or what, like I'm CJ Carr, I'm just going to go to Notre Dame and be like, look, the portal opens on January 2nd. If I don't hear from you guys by this day, then I've already filled out the online form. I'm just waiting to hit send.
Of course, there's also that school of thought out there that says, hey, if you hit the portal, you better know where you're going.
Oh yeah. You don't just blindly go in there and assume. And I do worry for some guys because there are no rules. I mean, there's no rules we all can acknowledge. So I do worry for the guys with the lack of agent certification that get told, hey, just go jump in the portal. You'll make a lot of money, and that's not really what's awaiting them. So yeah, you got to have the right advice. But I think in Mestemaker's case or any of these big time Colton Joseph, those guys would be crazy not to at least go jump in there and just see what the offers are, because the money being rumored to be thrown around is just it's NFL type stuff for a season's worth of play.
What was the number that I heard last year? And it might have been college baseball related, of the guys that hit the portal that were left there, that didn't find a home, and it was an astounding number. Hundreds of guys that hit the portal and didn't have an offer.
Well, there's, and here's what happens if you got high school kids coming in. So even though their opportunities have maybe been curtailed a little bit, you've got them. You've still got JUCO. Like people forget, you still got JUCO guys who are coming in. Yeah. And so if you jump in the portal, there are the portal guys who are better than you. Like all these people can cut in line. So you need to have a really realistic view of who you are. I think that's part of the problem, is that some of them okay, I'm going to go in the portal and find a place to play where I can play. And then you get out there and they're like, well, nobody needs you. Nobody needs you. And these younger guys or guys from JUCO who finally got their grades up or whatever, or people who've developed, kind of all cut the line in front of you. And so then you're just sitting there waiting because you might've been the sixth wide receiver on, a really good Ole Miss team, and you think man, well, I was at Ole Miss, I'll at least get to Kentucky. Yeah. And then Kentucky has a new coach, they don't even look. They're like, all right, well now.
Yeah, you get a quick dose of reality. I think what you're going to see in free agency, let's just call it that this year, when you're talking about the portal, I think what you're going to see in college football is you're going to see a wave of the big money guys early. And that money's going to, everyone's going to go kind of great. And there's going to be a feeding frenzy at the very beginning. And I think it's really, really, really going to slow down. And I think you're going to have a bunch of guys at the tail end who miss the boat, who think they're going to get $500,000, and all of a sudden they wake up and it's 65.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a feeding frenzy early, and it's going to be crazy, and everybody's going to talk about it, and then it'll settle down. And then when it's all said and done, you'll be like, okay, maybe it wasn't as crazy as we thought it was going to
be. Right. Yeah, that's kind of typically, all these splashes of guys declaring and re-signing, and which is just a weird thing to see that.
I'm with you, man. I don't even like it. And you got schools now promoting that.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig's re-signed with what do you mean? What is this?
He didn't leave. That's what it is. He didn't leave. Yeah. That's all. We gave him more money, so he didn't leave.
Here's what I think, guys, and this is I think a great judge of a program's culture is how many guys stay. I think culture does that more than money. I really do.
Well, I don't think the money, for individual stud guys, the money can probably get pretty crazy if you throw your name in.
Like the guys that Tech went and got, the edge rushers.
Those guys, you can get some money, and Tech probably had to pay above market because they don't have any skins on the wall yet until this year. So they're trying to get proof of concept. So it's a little even different for that. Yeah. But for most guys, the money's about the same. I mean, if you tell me the difference between me going to TCU or going to Oklahoma State is that TCU is going to pay me $75 and Oklahoma State's going to pay me $85, then $10,000 is not life-changing money. Do I like do I like Fort Worth or do I like Stillwater?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a lot that you get to weigh. Do I like the snow room or do I like to live in snow? I mean, it's a big difference. And so you got to kind of weigh it. And you're right. I mean, I think there is, that's why I say I think the culture really, really matters. And so when it's all said and done, I think fans would be wise to look to see, okay, did my team have to sign 75 new guys or did they have to sign 17? And if it's 17, then you go, okay, our culture is in pretty good shape then.
Well, it's the same in the pros for the most part, Brian, when it comes to free agency, right? No. If you have to sign 8 free agents and one of them's a stud and the rest are kind of plugging in holes and everything else is, kind of what you need. But any baseball team, I'll tell you, that has to sign 6 new starters is, even if they spend a bunch of money, they're probably not going to be that good because they weren't that good in the first place.
Yeah, that's a problem. And I think there is still room for developmental programs. And people tend to make that a negative. And I don't think that's a negative at all. I think that there's something to be said about teams and programs that are still developing high school players. I think that's an important piece that, again, fans can't overlook. We're in this society where it's got to be immediate success. But, there is an investment that you can make in a kid that will pay off in 2 or 3 years if your culture is right. Again, though, are we patient enough to see that happen?
Yep, absolutely. Brian Estridge, voice of the TCU Horned Frogs. Brian, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Same to you guys. Merry Christmas, and always good to see you guys.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
See you at George's.
All right. First round's on Brian. That was his whole setup at the house. He didn't have to leave.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Nice stuff. When we come back, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, will try to explain to me what in the world's going on with Trayvon Diggs this week. This is 365 Sports.
The Black Friday sales event continues at Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and Waco. And the selection right now is absolutely unbelievable. New cars, used cars, and trucks. Best inventory they've had in many years. How about 0%? 0% on a brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab for 72 months. Or go to 3.9% financing for 72 months and still get 10% below MSRP plus $2,000 in select bonus cash for Christmas shopping. If you're looking for SUVs, the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee L sitting there with 0% for 60 months, or you can grab $4,500 plus a $1,000 in bonus cash. The Rams, of course, are phenomenal. Extended 10-year, 100,000-mile train warranty on all 2026 model Rams sold between now and the end of the year. You heard me right. David Gray will help you with the details, and Allen Samuels, CEO and General Manager, Ted Teague, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul, Catalina, Craig, Smoak, and no Mickey yet, you said? Okay, no Mickey Spagnola yet. So let's just kind of continue going through some of the stories here. Kyle Whittingham is not retired. He says he's a free agent, and you know that he's in the transfer portal. Like I said, I'm at peace, and I did not want to be that guy that overstayed his welcome with people just saying, hey, when's this guy going to leave? This was not my intention ever. I hope I didn't do that. I'm sure with some people I did do that, but the timing is right. So he's still interested in coaching again.
Yeah, I've seen some throwing out a flyer on him as the Michigan head coach. I think he's obviously got plenty of skins on the walls, a proven guy. I don't know if they want to go the route of a guy who might retire in a few years, but maybe that's the best decision for them at this point. I don't know what their candidate pool looks like at this stage as we enter, I guess, going like the second week post Sharon Moore of that whole ordeal, and they still don't have a coach yet. So I think anybody who is experienced is at least somebody you look at for a second. But I'd imagine that while Michigan's probably not likely, there will be a smaller job out there that would certainly be interested in Kyle Whittingham, so long as he's going to be able to coach for more than just like another year. But the one thing that's clear, while his future is plenty murky on what exactly it will look like, is that he did not want to leave Utah and the head coaching position. I mean, I think that's become very clear at this point. And you thought that when he initially made the announcement that it was a situation where he had just decided enough of this NIL crap and these dumb uncertified street agents and enough of realignment and enough of the playoff and enough of like, I'm done. I've coached a long time. We had a nice bounce back year. We're the third best team in the league and had a really good run. And okay, this is how I'm going to end it. And clearly that was not what was in mind. Clearly he felt like he could probably still be coaching Utah. It sounds like he still wanted to be coaching Utah, but that Utah, after having this coaching waiting for years at this point and just doubling down on that, it sounds like they also just maybe were ready to change the vibes around the program and make a change there at the top. So you wish it was more of a Kyle Whittingham riding off into the sunset and into retirement and retiring a Ute and ending his career in Salt Lake City. But that's not the case. And unless there's no jobs that want him, he is going to be ending his career elsewhere. And doesn't sound at all like it was really his choice, other than to just, I guess, bite the bullet and fast forward a little bit rather than waiting another year and prolonging the inevitable. He just decided, y'all want me gone, clearly. Y'all want to make a change, then I'll leave. But there was a lot of back and forth. And like anything with Utah, like BYU inevitably gets involved, like almost to an annoying level, and vice versa, where there's just always like something like there's always a conspiracy as to why the other side had something bad happen or good. Like, you know, it's never just leave each other alone and just let things happen. So there's a lot of BYU fans who were like, there was a conspiracy to boot him out of the program. And then you had Utah fans fighting back. And it's like, well, in the wash, when it comes out, sounds like BYU fans are actually more right as far as he didn't want to leave. And he was kind of at least nudged and decided to leave on his own terms. And so there was something to that angle. And it doesn't sound like it's irreparable between Utah and Kyle Whittingham. It just sounds like it's ending on a more sour note than you wanted it to.
I think he probably, I mean, it said he was reading the writing on the wall and said, like, look, before this gets weird.
Right, exactly.
Before this gets weird, let's just.
But there was a lot of Utah fans who were like, he'll never coach anywhere again. This is it. He's retiring, and it was his choice. And then you had BYU fans that were like, I don't think it was his choice. My buddy in Salt Lake City tells me. And again, those two just, they can't help themselves. Like, they have to go at it at all times over every little thing. But as far as that particular conversation, the BYU side of folks that I saw that said, no, there's more to it. It seems like they were probably right. And it's a bummer for Utah fans that were hoping that Kyle Whittingham was just going to retire a Ute, and that was all she wrote, and what a great year and a great send-off, and now we seamlessly transitioned to Scally, and instead, I mean, who knows, maybe you're coaching against him in a bowl game next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's entirely possible. So I don't know what the market looks like for Kyle Whittingham, but at worst, he'll have a cushy analyst gig somewhere, making six figures, and it'll be up to him to decide what route he wants to go. I mean, certainly if he wants to take a step down, he could easily probably go get a job somewhere. I don't know really what's at this FBS level that he could go and grab.
What I would say is that, say, Kenny Dillingham is the guy that leaves.
Sure.
Like Arizona State, if they don't want a prolonged search,
right.
like Kyle Whittingham, probably a nice guy to step into that role pretty quickly. But I don't know. Chris Cartman was reporting that Dillingham was at the holiday party and the vibe is leaning in him staying right now.
Well, I mean, I asked earlier, he made the comment he made the hashtag that Sun Devil for life, which a lot of people picked up on and said, oh, wait, he hasn't said that in a long time. So is this another, I mean, right now they're looking for any and every clue that he's staying or going. So the fact that he used this hashtag Sun Devil for life to comment on a player's, I think NFL draft decision is what it was. That's leading people to believe like, oh, okay, he's sticking around, and I guess whatever else could possibly lead you to that conclusion, like him being at a holiday party and having a good time and saying all the right things or whatever. So, yeah, the longer this drags on, I feel like more likely Kenny Dillingham stays where he is, because if you're going to make that move, what's prolonging it at this point? Unless Michigan's just way less interested than you would be led to believe. It's hard to tell what's going on over there. I mean, you would think they would have had a head coach by now, but it could be entirely possible that one of the coaches they're after is coaching this weekend, even though like half those guys are already on to new jobs next year. So I don't know. It's really interesting what's going to happen with Dillingham. It's going to have to break here pretty soon. But for Whittingham, I mean, if Michigan had to go the bridge route, then there'd be worse choices out there. I just don't know that they'll want to do that. But he is going to coach somewhere, and at worst, it's going to be a cushy analyst gig, but sounds like he still wants to get his hands in the dirt, and I'm sure probably lead his own program. I just don't know what those options look like outside of like the random Michigan scenario or a job opening up like Arizona State potentially. But, yeah, he clearly is not going out on his own terms as far as the Utah chapter of his career, which is a bummer because he's the greatest head coach in Utah history. And I know that's what fans were hoping for, but clearly it was just, I'll go ahead and say goodbye before you guys boot me out. And that's what you kind of wondered about at the time. So it seems like that's been confirmed.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, is this the Arizona State thing? Yeah, no, okay. Our friends at JMU Sports News. We had Jack Fitzpatrick on the show earlier this week. They said, fun news. We've made a friendly wager with the great Phil Knight. If Oregon wins Saturday, we'll donate $14 to the Ducks NIL fund if we feel up to it. If JMU wins, Phil will donate $14 million to the Dukes roster building efforts. The asterisk there is he has yet to agree to the terms.
Yes, very funny, and that's an account that's been getting a lot of love here during this playoff discussion because they just kind of have fun with things and don't take themselves seriously. And obviously, they're very much the underdog, so there are people that are rooting for them, and they're having fun with it. So, I like the little asterisk. I was wondering, Phil Knight's 87 years old at this point, so he's got, for rich folk like him, probably another 10 years to go. I mean, they never die like 90 years old, guys like him, because they have the best health care and the best whatever.
Okay. Look at that picture. He didn't look 87, and that might be an older picture.
I was just curious of what he was now, so I just looked at it. He's 87 years old. So he's got another 10 and then probably as a big Oregon donor. But, yeah, that'd be nice if that was true. I like that JMU is embracing this spotlight, though, and having fun with it. And I can only imagine what that account will be like if they were to somehow pull the upset. That would be absolutely incredible. No one would be happier than JMU fans, or JMU fans would be the happiest. Texas Tech fans would be the second happiest because then they're like, well, we're coasting, baby, into the next round. Although if they beat Oregon in Autzen, then maybe you can't just count your chickens before they hatch. But that would be an incredible upset. It's extremely unlikely, but they're definitely taking advantage of their time in the sun, and I appreciate that.
Yep. South Dakota running back LJ Phillips has entered the portal, and normally, the FCS guys in the portal, there's a lot of them, but this is the top FCS guy, one of the best. I wonder where he winds up, but this is one who I think that Tech has one on the roster. There's a couple all around the country of North Dakota guys, South Dakota guys, Montana guys who jump in the portal and then do pretty well for themselves on the other side of it. My first instinct when I saw this was Nebraska needs a running back, and that's not too far away.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams that I think are interested in a guy who had nearly 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. I mean, he had an absolutely monstrous year and is built like a fire hydrant. He's not very tall, but he's a thick guy at 225. I think he's like 5'9", 225. So you talk about fire hydrant kind of description. I think that would probably apply there. But yeah, really good player, very prolific, huge numbers. Not going to pretend that I watched a ton of his film, but I'd imagine there's a lot of personnel departments right now that are just devouring that. And these guys don't just jump in the portal, especially somewhere where you've had success and you're on a good team and you're having a lot of production. You don't just jump in the portal without having probably had somebody in your ear, kind of we were talking about earlier, saying, hey, there's money to be made out there. So, yeah, I'd imagine LJ Phillips probably has a pretty good idea with what he's done, that he can go out there and get a big opportunity and a big paycheck as well. So we'll see what the line of suitors looks like. But, yeah, nearly 2,000 yards, nearly 20 touchdowns. Few people had a better year than he did at the running back position.
Auburn is resetting how it approaches. This is from Justin Hawkinson, who covers the Tigers. Is resetting how it approaches NIL, fewer front-loaded deals, more production-based incentives, and stricter valuations. There might be growing pains, but the goal is long-term stability, a healthier locker room, and a culture shift. This is, and I think what everybody is trying to do. The thing about like all these plans is how patient can you be with it to reset those things when not everybody else out there is on this. Like, this is the mission statement for all of them, right? Everybody's going to say something like this. We're going to be more efficient, blah, 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 blah. But you're in the ultra competitive SEC. And the minute that, several schools above you don't follow this, can you be patient and see things through long-term? I don't think college sports is a long-term venture right now. So this is very noble. And I hope that they're able to accomplish it. But again, this is only as effective as the alumni and the money people allow it to be.
I mean, it sounds good. It's the way that it should be, but it's college sports. So I will say, why aren't there rules across the board that everybody can agree to? Why aren't there parameters that everyone can say this would be the best for everybody? It's because they're all selfish and they're only worried about themselves and how much money they can make and how much they can win. And they will cut off everybody else's nose, fingers, and toes to get any slight advantage. So it would be great if everybody operated with this mindset. But unfortunately, there will be a Tennessee or a whatever state or whatever tech that jumps in and says, oh, we're just going to offer $1 million more than you're offering and we're going to take your guy. And it's hard for those guys to turn that down. And so there's always going to be somebody that's going to be plucking at your personnel and your roster and offering big money to sway them and not worried about the way you're trying to set up the system. So you're just going to have to find the right guys that believe in what you're doing and are happy with what you're paying and aren't constantly looking over their shoulder at Uncle Tito, who's getting DMs left and right and offers left and right and promises of this and that and constantly putting you in the market to be on the move. If you can get guys that are grounded and ready to be there for 3 or 4 years and you can actually build it like the way college football is supposed to be and was for so long, that would be awesome. I trust them to do it. I just don't trust the other teams around them to not just pick apart their roster and overpay guys to pluck them away. And that's the problem. So yeah, it's nice in theory. I wish everybody could operate this way, but it's just not all that realistic, I feel like, right now, unless what's Alex Golish, right? I always keep thinking Summerall for some reason. I have to make sure I get that right. But I think Alex Golish is a really good coach, and it's something I guess we'll kind of see how it all operates. But we're sitting here talking to Brian Estridge, and he's talking about building up guys and the culture and all that. And the culture's great. And the culture's great when you get a freshman and then you mold that freshman and he puts on 10 pounds and he gets a little bit faster and it's starting to click for him. And as a sophomore, he's really good. And then all of a sudden as a junior, now he's got Auburn in his DMs and he's got Texas in his DMs and he's got TCU in his DMs and whatever. So you can culture it however you want to, but there's nothing preventing the vultures from swirling at all times, at any time. And so it's just so hard to build guys now over 3 or 4 years, because the moment that you're not Ohio State or Texas or whatever, you're going to have that guy who's, he's got success. Well, guess what? That just means it's going to be harder than ever to keep him because now everybody else is going to want him. So that part sucks. There's a lot of culture being lost, and you can have a really good culture that can work for some guys, but ultimately money talks, and that's what we're seeing a lot of right now.
Yeah, and this is kind of similar. It's not the same thing, but it's a little bit similar to, and this is a plan, like hopefully this works, but Dabo not doing the transfer portal for the first couple of years
because the culture will help us out.
Us out. Like, well, we'll do that and we're going to do this. Well, that's all. I'm going to continue to do it the old way and develop guys. That only really works if you don't lose guys to the transfer portal too.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So like if you lose, you might even lose just 10, but if those 10 are the 10 best players you have because they can go out in the open market, then it's hard to replace those 10 with 18-year-old guys. And, he tried to rationalize it every which way but loose until he kind of got backed into a corner. And so that's what I hope doesn't happen here to Auburn, where they've got this plan, they've got this great culture, most of the people are happy with their money, but then they have to scrap what is a really good idea because it's just too crazy around them.
Yeah, I think he'll do wonders for the culture just on the day-to-day, the ground floor level of it all. But as far as just being able to plan on having guys and have them the old way of 3-4 years, you develop the culture, you build them up, and you never lose them. That's the part where let's see how it works out. If they're able to do that, then he'll have every major college job lining up to pay him millions more than he's already making, and Auburn will have found themselves a huge diamond in the rough, because if you're not the tippy-top school with the biggest bankroll, it's nearly impossible to have a sustained culture because your roster is constantly getting picked apart the moment a guy even appears to be a pretty good player. And so it's just hard to hang on to that, and we'll see how successful Alex Golish is with it. Auburn will be highly competitive. I do think he's a great culture reset from Hugh Freeze. I think it'd be a lot less BS going on around Auburn, Alabama as a result of that, but easier said than done for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thing, we come back. There are details from Front Office Sports on the Big 12 private capital deal with Weatherford Capital and Redbird. But I wanted to get, and then we'll talk playoff before the end of the show. But wanted to throw this one out there. Houston lost their wide receivers coach. He's going to Iowa State. They have elevated Brian Bell, China Spring, Texas native and former state championship winning China Spring coach, brother of Sean Bell, is their new wide receivers coach. Of course, he played for Willie Fritz in college at Sam Houston State. We know Brian well. I wanted to bring this up because, I broadcast his high school games. I'm, huge fan of Brian. I think he's going to go places in the coaching industry. And fun fact, in this room right now, we have two different people who played. Right, Logan, did you play football? Logan and Brandon, both China Spring graduates, and both played for Brian Bell at China Spring. So I thought that was just a little interesting note here.
Yeah, it's very cool. I want to correct something I said earlier. We were talking about Sarkisian in Texas, and I knew that they had made an offensive change, and I said I couldn't remember it up while we were in the middle of the discussion. I think I say wider. They changed running backs.
Oh, yeah,
coach.
they got the guy from Florida.
Yeah, who they feel like it'll be a nice upgrade there. So just reversing back to that and correcting, I said wide receivers. I knew they had changed something, but it's actually the running backs coach. I believe it's Jabbar Jalouk is his name. Yep. So just for my own personal sanity this weekend, it's not like gnawing on me tomorrow night at 10 o'clock in the evening. I'm like, I said this when I should have said that. But as far as Brian Bell goes, awesome for him. And he's moving up the career ladder, and a guy who has a lot of fans around this area and a lot of former players, as you mentioned. We got a pretty good ratio here, and happy for him. And Sean's obviously still on staff there and moving up as well as brother. And so Willie Fritz has got a couple of young stars in the making, I think, there with the Bell brothers. And so good to see them continuing to trend upward, and what a great opportunity for him. And they had, they're a team that has pretty good wide receivers, got riddled by the portal a little bit, and then was able to bring in some new guys this year and have a lot of success. Think about Amari Thomas was really good for them this year. So I think, Houston's a fun program to be a part of right now, and good to see the Bell Bros succeeding.
Absolutely. When we come back, we're going to talk playoff and the details of this private capital deal, private equity deal with the Big 12. That's all coming up on 365 Sports.
IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas Marketplace off I-35 in Waco. Dr. Rob Maxey and his partners have put together a business, and it's been now 10 years since they opened their doors, that is customer and patient friendly. One, they have an MRI machine that is state of the art. Doctors know all about it, and when they want to refer you to get a better look at what is hurting you, whether it's in your back that then also creates problems elsewhere in your lower body or your hip or your neck, or what might be happening with a muscle or ligament in your knee or your quad or your shoulder, wherever that pain may be that shuts you down. Dr. Rob Maxey and his partners, $497 or less. That's been the price since they opened up the doors. $497 or less. The average MRI is $1,100. So get the evidence with the state-of-the-art imaging pictures and machine, and also $497 or less. It's IdealMRI.com.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
What does being different mean to me? You know, that is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
This is the Sonos Arc Ultra, and this is what you need to know about. It represents one of the easiest ways to get into high-quality home cinema without loads of cables and faffing around. And that's because the Arc Ultra provides full Dolby Atmos without any rear speakers thanks to its sound motion technology. And Sonos is actually calling sound motion one of the most significant breakthroughs in audio engineering in nearly 100 years. It's an amazing setup. It sounds absolutely fantastic. I love the absence of fat. If you're a Sonos person, there's a reason you're watching this video.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
Thanks for always supporting us when you do. This is 365 Sports. I'm Paul Catalina alongside Craig Smoak. Today, Smokey's out sick, and this is my last show of this year. I know that you guys are going to do a couple over the next couple weeks.
More than that, we're going to have a few shows.
3 or 4 shows that you're going to do, and then I'll be back on January 2nd.
It's just missing the whole playoffs, huh? Basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's not completely up to me. And that we go to Nashville every year, and then like the schedule is what the schedule is, and so yeah, it sucks that I missed the commentary on the playoffs. I don't miss the whole playoffs because we won't be on when the second round of games is played. I'll be on right after those on January 2nd. So I'll miss this first round, and then they don't play again because it's stupid for another 10 days after that. Because the next games are on the New Year's Eve.
Yeah, but you're not back before New Year's Eve, so you'll miss the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, but talking about it, I won't, because the second round, the first show will be back on the air is January 2nd.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be here to talk about that. So I'm missing
Gotcha.
the one show where we'll talk about, or 2 shows next week where we'll talk about those games, and then after that, like for whatever stupid reason, they're just after. And longer and prolonged. So I won't miss that part of it. I'll just miss the first one. So I'll miss you guys, I guess, previewing it, right? But it won't be the wrap up afterwards. So, but yeah, no, that does kind of suck. But yeah, have to travel and get to Nashville. So that's where I'm headed. Craig, details on this Big 12 private equity deal, in that there are several things. The deal would include a $25 million in the Big 12 conference assets, an entity called Big 12 Properties, and offer up to about $30 million in cash to Big 12 schools. No school would be required to take the money, however. In total, the infusion could be about $500 million for schools in the conference. The deal would offer investment expertise and assistance and all that. In exchange, CAS, the company, would earn a percentage of conference revenue, but only if it reaches a certain threshold. If the conference does well, they could earn 10% or more, with the amount can earn capped at 15%. Schools that take the $30 million don't have to pay back the investment plus interest. CS would withhold a percentage of the conference distributions the schools will receive on the back end. However, those withholdings could be paid for with extra revenue created by other things. So there's retainers and all that other stuff. So if you take the $30 million, so if people are wondering, if you take the $30 million, you don't have to pay it back with interest. They will get it on the back end. So you're still paying something. Or if the conference does well enough, you may not have to pay it back at all. So it sounds okay, but like, again, the devil's in the probably smaller details than this, and the effectiveness of spending and using that money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it remains to be seen who all is going to be involved in this. Front Office Sports had a nice write-up on it for those that care about the details of it, but apparently the big breaking point that was the line that couldn't be crossed for the Big 12 initially was the private equity part of it, that I guess the initial offerings were hoping to have a stake in the conference, and the league, rightfully so, I guess was not interested in that. So this is more private investment than it is private equity. And there is a distinction there. But I think from that standpoint, it feels a little bit better than if it was private equity. The rest of it, I mean, we'll all see how it works in the details, but it seems like it's a risk, but not something that's putting you in huge harm quickly. Although, I mean, what are the money numbers looking like on the back end? Like, I don't know, man. There's too much like uncertainty with each individual school to really say like, oh, this is a great idea or this is a bad idea. I think if you're a mark for the league and you just go along with everything they do, then you think it's a great idea. I think if you are somebody who believes that private capital, private equity, just anything that's private, whatever, is a bad idea because of what you've seen happen at chain stores or whatever, then this is something you're a little bit alarmed by. I find myself in the middle. Like, this isn't private equity, so that's a good sign. But it's also still borrowing money and then having to pay it back at a later date and hoping that certain things fall into place where you're going to be able to do that. So yeah, this is not my expertise. I don't like having investment funds and big places like Redbird Capital necessarily getting involved. My whole thing is, how much of an advantage do you really gain? Because if it works, won't the others just all do the exact same thing? And in the cases of the SEC and Big Ten, raise way more money per school than the $30 million you're even doing. But as I've heard others kind of say on our show, it's the price of doing business. And if you want to stay relevant, I feel like you're constantly chasing your tail. If you're always like, well, we got to do this to just stay above water. Well, we got to take this 30 million just to stay above water. It's like, what's the end goal here? To just keep paddling until you just never drown, hopefully? Or is there a life raft somewhere that you can eventually, if you get tired, you can jump onto that? Or are you just chasing money and investments every single year to just simply compete? For what level exactly? For national championships, or just to remain Iowa State and maybe win 10 games every 20 years, but win 8 or 9 regularly? Like what? I don't know. I think it's a lot still to be figured out here, but on the surface, it doesn't look as jarring as when you thought it was private equity and Redbird swooping in and they're going to take like a percentage of the league and they're going to be making decisions and all that. Sounds like mostly they'll just be advising and setting up some streams of revenue potentially. There's also a note in there about the relationship Redbird Capital has with CBS Sports, and how maybe that's part of the logic of this, is that you're looking down the line at the TV deal. CBS lost the SEC. They did have they had the Mountain West, I think, and maybe another league. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is a vacancy there that you could maybe slide into if you're the Big 12 here in 2030, 2031, when you're starting to iron out those TV details. So that's not a guaranteed thing, but that was part of the Front Office Sports article I read that was just trying to connect the dots here on why it makes even more sense for the Big 12. Outside of just you need money, maybe there's also the CBS payoff at the end of this thing. But yeah, I mean, we'll see who's in. I mean, I'm really curious. Is Texas Tech asking for money here, or are they self-sustaining? Is BYU asking for money, or are they self-sustaining? I would imagine Iowa State will need the money. I don't know about the private schools. I would imagine UCF could probably use the money. I think Cincinnati could probably use the money. I think a handful of schools, you could say pretty quickly, will probably need to use the money. I would think Houston probably needs to use the money. But do you want to put yourself in that situation? I mean, that's what we'll see worked out. But the CBS part of it was interesting. The lack of private equity was interesting. And besides that, it's just a lot of financial stuff that I don't quite know what to think of it all.
It's a way better deal than the Big Ten was going to get with theirs, which is why Michigan and USC put the kibosh on it, because it wasn't a good deal for the schools. It was basically cash with a ton of strings attached that were not necessarily good strings for everybody, especially a school like Michigan, who's like, well, we don't need this cash right now, so you're going to force us to take it. And then if we would like some, if we could pay off some of our debt, but we're not going to do it at the cost of like what they call it a big payday loan. This one's a little bit different than that. So these things are, and credit Brett Yormark and his business understanding of everything that went on, that he said it's got to be bespoke to the Big 12. It's got to work for the conference. So I'm wondering, maybe is the money a little bit smaller because it's not the straight up and down, like we own the Big 12 now, essentially.
No, their money's all going to come from getting percentages on investments. They're going to try and create new business. And if, like, I guess you go cut a TV deal with CBS, then you'd get a share of that for Redbird Capital because they help make it happen. And that's not a guarantee. It's just, again, a thing that was floated out there is why this would make more sense, Redbird and the Big 12. But they'll try to, they're going to be responsible for like getting advertisements on ribbon boards and like whatever they can scrounge some money up, and they'll get a cut of that. And that's where their money will come from. As far as that question of how they get a return on investment, I think there's a cap. So it's not like they can gouge you for 40 to 50% of some deals and it's like super shady in the fine print. I think there's a cap of either said 10 or 15% on some of these deals. So reading through it, go to Front Office Sports, read the actual details on it, especially those of you interested in such a thing. It's a lot more appetizing than the initial, oh my God, private equity, they're going to buy half the Big 12 and they're going to make decisions. It's not that. It's literally cash injections. If you want to take it, you can. If you don't have to. But they're going to try to create sponsorships and business deals and then take cuts of that, and that's how they'll get their money paid back. And then I'm sure they've got grander plans down the line if this all works out. But just how much does it close the gap is my question, because, okay, give UCF $30 million. Does that put them in a drastically different place, or is that just to keep the lights on? And I'm just randomly using them as an example. Maybe they're fine and they don't need the money. I doubt that's the case, because I don't feel like they've got a Cody Campbell that's been lurking around, or the BYU situation where they're pretty well off, but have to go through the church, and that's a whole unique thing to them. But just using Cincy or UCF or Baylor, whoever's an example, I don't know if they'll take it all, but the offer is there if you want to. I just don't know what that looks like in terms of what you have to pay off and the percentages and what you're expecting it to do for you. If it's just to maintain the status quo, then I think you're probably just in the wrong business at this point, because the status quo is only going to get higher and higher and higher. That means you're just going to constantly be borrowing money every year to just maintain the status quo. Well, if the status quo for you is barely even making a bowl game every year, then what the hell's the point?
Yeah.
To just say you're still in the club? Like, I don't. That's the part of this I don't know, and we'll see again who opts in and decides to take the plunge. But yeah, it's interesting to get some more details on it, and it's a lot less scary when you read some of the details. But it's not just completely risk-free by any means either. There's still some risk to this, especially if you aren't able to create some new money, or you're not having a lot of success. I could see where, you'd find yourself in a little bit of debt and a little bit of a pickle potentially. So you just hope your leadership is smart enough to know what decision to make and the right way to handle your money, so you don't end up in a position like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, Craig, the playoff is tonight, Bama and Oklahoma. You have picked Alabama. Smoak and I picked Oklahoma. And the only reason I did that was home game, and Bama looks so uneven to me. These are not two teams, though, that are fantastic on offense. Should be another defensive struggle. And so if you're a fan of these teams, like I'm sure you will be tonight, you'll be kind of white-knuckling it through this one. But curious about your thoughts on this. Like, you did not think that Oklahoma was a playoff team when the year started, right?
No, not a play. I thought they were a team that was on the fringe of it if things worked out well. Like if Mateer hit, and I thought that he would, and then the defense was drastically, or not the defense, but if the offense was drastically better. Now, they didn't turn out to be drastically better. The offense is what it is. Mateer has slid, if anything, from like his midseason peak. But I knew the defense would be really good, and that would help them win games. But yeah, I didn't have them predicted as a playoff team. I thought that if things work out really well, then they'd have a chance at it. But I definitely didn't predict it.
I would have told you that I thought that year two of Arbuckle and Mateer would be better, just because of it's not just them going in, it's them adjusting to who else that they all haven't played with before and all that. So, and I thought they would be better. Maybe not playoff better, but they're here now. So do you consider, like, the season, to me, like, you want to win the whole thing, but are you at like a comfortable satisfaction point with how this is going?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how tonight goes. I mean, they can lose and I'll still feel good about it, because they're going to basically bring back probably most of what got them here to begin with. I mean, the defense will be fine in Venable's hands regardless of who they lose. And then Mateer back again, I assume, and Arbuckle back again, I assume, and hopefully with some actual weapons, not named Isaiah Satana as somebody to offload some of the workload there from Mateer and his one target basically that he seems to have on the entire offense. Run game.
I thought Deion Burks would be a lot bigger deal.
One of the most overrated portal pickups of the entire offseason. Like, we really should have awards after the season. I just can't keep up with all of the propaganda during the offseason, but we really should. Like, I think the most famous college football personality, people can assume, but go look back at the playoff picks. Don't look great. Like, go look back at a lot of like the preseason predictions. Don't pan out very well. So if we kept report cards, I don't know where people would be on Oklahoma. There were a lot of people high on them, but as far as like the expectations for some of the pickups, Deion Burks was definitely a guy who you heard a lot about and a lot of people were excited about, and you didn't hear jack squat about him like the entire season, other than where's Deion Burks? Much like Jaden Ott. Like, that was another one that I thought Jaden Ott, I'd give myself an F. I thought Jaden Ott was going to be a really good pickup. Turns out they just don't have a run game, period. And he's definitely not contributing or making a difference there. So, yeah, those are a couple of guys that really got a lot of that offseason play, and then it turned into a lot of really not much in the actual in-season. So that's been disappointing, and it would help the offense a lot if some of those guys would have panned out to give him some other options other than playing hero ball or, again, just throwing to Isaiah Satana all the time. But the defense is great. I picked Alabama just to be different, quite frankly. Like, I don't want to always be that guy, but I just feel like not everything's going to go chalk, and that's even a little bit messed up because the lines flipped back and forth. Like, one day I've looked and it's Alabama's favored, one day I've looked Oklahoma's favored. I haven't looked today because I don't really care at this point. But I'm taking Alabama just because I feel like there's going to be an upset, and there's only really a couple of great options for upsets this weekend, and the upsets would be slight if they're even. Well, I mean, even that. Like, if Miami goes and beats A&M, will anybody be surprised? No. If Alabama beats Oklahoma, will you really be all that surprised by it? No, unless it's a blowout, and then you'd be like, damn, I didn't see Bama winning by 3 touchdowns, but a close win either way in either one of those games is not going to be shocking to anybody because they're all pretty equally matched. So to your question, I think I'm satisfied with this year. I mean, Venables isn't on a hot seat. You seem to have a lot of things in play for next year. At some point, though, you've got to win a college football playoff game, which has been very elusive for them. They did not win when it was a 4-team playoff, even though they were in it practically every single year. They could never win a single playoff game. So that's going to be the thing now is, can you win a playoff game? And if they don't tonight at home against the team they beat earlier this year and a team whose number they have, there's no doubt you'll be disappointed, but I think you'll still feel okay about the trajectory of the program, if that makes sense. Like, it was a good year. You made the playoff. That's a step forward. But next year, okay, now you've done that. Now you win a freaking playoff game, compete for the SEC title. We can worry about that next year. But, yeah, just don't get blown out tonight. And if you lose, I think everybody will feel like it's still a really good step forward.
Yeah, I think they'd rather have a coach going into a year, not like he went into this year not on a hot seat, but on a seat that was warm. I mean,
if they would not have made the playoff, I think that run they had to close it out, I think he'd very much be on the hot seat. Especially, I mean, look at some of the guys getting fired in their situations. Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma's no different than some of these others that are like, it's 10 wins or bust. And so Venables got them to a point where they got in the playoff. That's all he really needed to do to take the heat off. And maybe he would have been around either way, but there would have been immense heat if they would have just gone to a regular bowl game. So he took that off of his back, and now it's about, okay, now where can you take him again? And if you lose to Bama tonight in a close game, it's not the end of the world. It was a good season. If you lose in a blowout, then obviously that would leave a bad taste in your mouth for a season to end that way. But to simply be at this point, I think, is a positive, and you can rest assured that there's no coaching talk to have for a little while at least. Venables is the guy, and he's got them on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a whole lot more time, but I do want to talk about Miami and A&M. I love the matchup. I love it. I think that'll be the most fun game to watch out of all of them, because there will be, with Alabama and Oklahoma, I don't know if there's going to be like the balance of offense and defense that I think we'll see it in Miami and A&M, where you're going to see big sacks and turnovers and things like that, but you may not see like some of the electric offensive plays that you'll see. I think it's going to be probably relatively high scoring, but you will see some big key moments on defense. And if they can cause the Carson Beck meltdown, A&M wins. A&M's at home. I think it's a really huge advantage for them. But Miami is loaded for bear. But ultimately, I think it comes down to home and Mike Elko, and that's why I lean with the Aggies. I think that Marcel Reed's going to have a nice bounce back game, but I don't think, like all of them, if you watch the Aggies for the most part, the first 3 quarters aren't easy. Mike Elko's really what he's changed about everything else is he can close out better than their previous coaches. And that's something that Mario Cristobal's not great at. Mike Elko's a closer. Mario Cristobal is not. That's the difference. But I do think that A&M's deficiencies, especially when it comes to special teams, and kicking field goals, is what's ultimately going to get them in this playoff, because I think even no matter who they play, on down the line, somebody's probably going to have a better kicker than them, and it comes down to the little things, and that is going to be kind of their exit point.
I think this will be an excellent game, maybe the best game of the weekend. I mean, it's that one or the one tonight, although we could always get a surprise and JMU gives Oregon a run for their money, or Ole Miss and Tulane ends up a lot closer than we expected it to be. But, I think this is the game. If not for having some skin on the Oklahoma side, obviously this would be the game I'd be most looking forward to. And I don't love the early kickoff, but I get they're trying to avoid the NFL and all of that. So it makes sense from that standpoint. But this will be excellent. And I just hope Marcel Reed's a bit less of a nervous Nelly than we saw him against UT the last time out. That just seemed like the moment was like kind of got to him a little bit. And this is a much bigger moment. This is a playoff game. Even with all that comes with the UT and A&M rivalry. I mean, this is a big-time playoff game on your home field, so he'll need to be at his best, and he'll have his work cut out for him because it's a nasty Miami defensive line that's going to be coming after him on every single play. So I think this is a fun matchup. I lean A&M there at home. I know I just took Alabama to pull the upset, but it was like one or the other. Maybe Miami was the better bet for the upset. Maybe I'm wrong on both accounts, and there is no upset. Regardless, I'm very much looking forward to this one, and I do take A&M with the Kyle Field behind them to kind of push them over the top. But it'll be an excellent game. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too. And look, I'm looking forward to JMU in Oregon. I'm looking forward to all of it.
I am too. I'm waiting for like by the third quarter, if there's a blowout, just to see the timeline of bitching and moaning and complaining. And I mean, I just remember it so vividly last year when there were a couple blowouts and then everybody was all over SMU and it was like, it wasn't fun. It was like, here's the playoff and all anybody's doing is complaining more than they've ever complained about this entire thing. And that just sucked to me. It's like when Selection Sunday, it should be this incredible day for college football. It should be a banner day. And there will be people who walk away disappointed because your team was team 13. And so that's just going to have to happen. But it shouldn't be where like 90% of the fan base of the entire sport walks away and like, this is bullshit. Like this sucks. This whole process sucks. Even the teams who make it in are like, this is stupid. This is crap. I just don't want that for the playoff for a second year in a row because I feel like that did drown out. And look, blowouts aren't fun to watch. So hopefully all these games are competitive, but it's understandable to at least think that, yeah, JMU going to Autzen might be a little bit too much of an uphill climb for them. But they're a really good program, and so they've got an opportunity to prove everybody wrong, and they either will or they won't. If they go and get blown out, well, they can't blame anybody for talking about these blowouts and not being really enthused by them. But if they go up there and they knock off Oregon, then there will be a lot of really well-paid analysts out there who will have to eat some massive crow on Monday, and so I look forward to potentially seeing that as well. And yeah, I just hope these games are competitive. I know that there's not a lot of people expecting them to be, but this is your chance to change the narrative if you're JMU or you're Tulane. And you can't say if you both go and get blown out, well, we're disrespected. It's like, well, and I know others get blown out too. Like there's been other playoff games, but it's not apples to apples. Yeah. Like it's not, we're not comparing the same things. Your blowout is differently than Oklahoma getting blown out by Alabama. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. So yeah, the college football world that's not obsessed with blue bloods, playing blue bloods all the time, and who just want some chaos, then you should be massive Tulane and JMU fans this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to rooting for John Sumrall for probably the last time.
Yeah, probably. I would think so.
I mean, like, I'm a huge fan of him, and he's now sleeping with the enemy. So, we'll have a good last hurrah, but I hope it's a great last hurrah. But it's going to be hard for me because usually I automatically don't like the coach that Florida hires, and this is going to be, I feel weird about it. I feel conflicted. I feel conflicted. I'm supposed to automatically not like the guy, but I like the guy. It's hard, Craig. It's hard. It's maybe how you felt about Sark that day when we met him and talked to him.
I mean,
we liked, like, he was actually like not douchey.
I mean, I'm just not one of those fans that automatically, he's the rival coach, he's a douchebag. I just kind of look at people for who they are. I don't really care what colors you wear. Yeah. So for Sark, if he was the coach at Oregon or the coach at Texas, I was going to be equally impressed either way. It just so happens that, he coaches at the school that's the rival, so to speak. So I can still respect him. I can also disagree on certain decisions he's made. I'm very intrigued by this Kwiatkowski for Muschamp exchange that he's got going in the next year. But yeah, I definitely respect him, and it's not hard to do. I mean, I don't have to root for him to win games. No. But I can respect him.
And what I think, or ultimately Urban Meyer kind of ruined my perspective on that, because I really did enjoy Steve Spurrier. I wasn't mature enough to maybe realize how much I did at the time, but the rivalry was more fun back then. So I just want fun again. That's what I want.
Right.
So maybe a guy like Summerall can bring back the fun to it.
If he can't, then Florida's got much bigger picture questions to answer, because they seemingly can't find a coach to get them to win these days, if that's the case. And so maybe that's finally what lures Urban out of retirement would be if they had to go to the well again. But I think Summerall will be good there. And hopefully, I mean, they didn't seem too distracted in the American Championship game. They had a little trouble with North Texas when all was said and done. So hopefully they attack Oregon the same way, and he goes out with a bang and maybe a huge upset, and he'll have another fan base rooting for him, that's for sure. So will James Madison with the UCLA crowd rooting for Bob Chesney to have some success. And Pete Golding, his first look with Ole Miss as head coach. So, yeah, it's going to be a fascinating weekend.
Absolutely. When we come back, the top 5 landing spots for Josh Hoover, and then the Carnival. This is 365 Sports.
Wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
When you view the glass half full, the little things become magical. 10% of profits go to help kids heal. So choose optimism and make the magic real. Visit lifeisgood.com.
The Lumi Charge is an all-in-one home desk lamp, speaker, and phone charger. It is a great...
I need that for my son when he goes off to college.
A secret, I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia, both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into the last Top 5 of 2025. Brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. Where is the time gone? Anyway, I'll see you guys again on January 2nd. And here's my parting shot for the year. Top 5 landing spots for Josh Hoover, since he'll, on January 2nd, when I get back, likely have already picked where he's going to go. That's the day the transfer portal opens. So let's get into it. Number 5, Vanderbilt. Jared Curtis, the number 1 quarterback in the country, is coming in, but a bridge option is likely for the Commodores. Josh Hoover would be a great one in that offense. This is a guy who leaves TCU with over 9,000 yards passing, a ton of touchdowns, a ton of skins on the wall. Yes, he does have a bit of a turnover issue, but let's see what happens under a different coach, under a different system. Vanderbilt with Clark Lee could be a really, really good one for Josh Hoover, and the Doors have decided that they're all in on football for the first time in their school history. They're enjoying the dubs. Number 4, Nebraska. Matt Rule needs a quarterback with Dylan Raiola in the portal. Now, look, they do have TJ Lateef on the roster, and he is an intriguing part of this whole equation. But in Dana Holgerson's offense, which can be pretty wide open, I think Josh Hoover fits in well. Remember, Holgo is a Big 12 guy. Josh Hoover's a Big 12 guy. Easy transition. I think it fits really well in Lincoln. Number 3, Louisville, one of the kings of the one-year transfer quarterback. And if you want an offense that I think that Josh Hoover will be amazing in, it's Jeff Brahms. Now, I don't know what Josh Hoover's intent is or what kind of schools he's looking at, but if he wants to get better and up his draft stock, I think playing for Jeff Brom is a really, really, really good idea, and he fits super well into their scheme. Number 2, I probably should have made this number 1, but number 1, a little bit of a hotter team right now. Number 2, Tennessee. They pursued him when the Nico Iamaleava situation blew up. They wound up with Joey Aguilar, which worked out okay for them, but Josh Hoover was pursued by the Vols then. Could they do it again? Could he finally make his way to the SEC and Rocky Top? Maybe. We'll see. Great fit in the offense as well. Very similar to what he was running with Kendall. Very similar. It's almost the exact same to what he was running with Kendall Briles. But Tennessee has been better at running the ball lately than TCU has. And number 1, Indiana. Why would you not? They need a quarterback. You're a quarterback. They made Fernando Mendoza better. They made Brendan Rourke better. They can make you better. I don't know if there's a more perfect fit for this scenario than Indiana right now, but who knows who they're looking at. Could be Sam Leavitt. Could be anybody. And I know this is the first time we've ever said this in college football history, but Indiana is in the catbird seat for just about anything they've ever wanted right now. And it's unbelievable what Kurt Cignetti has done. They're a playoff team, they're a Big Ten champ, and they're probably going to get whatever quarterback they set their sight on, which is unbelievable if you had told me that 2 years ago. That's going to do it for the top 5. My last wheel of the year. Okay. Which NFL or maybe college football player would be a great fit in the WWE? Craig, this is really a question for you. Craig. Yo, Craig. We're back.
Sorry.
Which NFL or maybe college football player would be a great fit in the WWE?
Man, there's a ton of different guys that I think would be what's the first part? NFL?
NFL or college football
Max
player.
Crosby. I said this the other day
Oh,
on a different question, I guess it was. But yeah, I was listening to a separate interview, so sorry for thought we were going to commercial break. But regardless, Max Crosby is the first name that pops into my head here. Just checks a lot of boxes, and I don't know, there's 1,000 other guys I could go with that would all be great. But he's a guy who's just immediately springs. George Kittle's a huge wrestling fan. He's a bit lean, but he's also still a pretty big dude. I think he'd be pretty interesting because he loves it so much. He has an affinity for it. His brother's fighting tonight. Logan Paul's not a football player, but like he's turned out to be a pretty damn good wrestler. Yeah. So I think a George Kittle, a Max Crosby could all come in there and be excellent as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, personalities or because it's not just, all these guys could go in there and look good doing it. They're big, huge dudes. I try to think of personalities that would fit it well. You know who I think would be, and he probably not as a wrestler, but like as a personality around it would be like Stephon Diggs. But
I have no interest in Stephon Diggs and his multiple baby mamas. Yeah. That's just so TMZ trash to me. Same thing with Logan Paul was that way for a long time until he showed that he actually is actually doing it.
Yeah.
They had a whole incident with Travis Scott who came in, basically ruined 2 years worth of storylines with just this botched ending to this big dramatic thing they had been building for a couple years and just left the worst taste in everybody's mouth. And now he's never come back. They don't want him back because
he's got other problems too. Yeah. But
I don't know.
Right. Did he have some legal issues?
He had the concert thing 2 years ago, but I don't know about anything recently, but I just want to stay away from the guys who were just in it for a quick buck or for a little bit of attention. And I feel like Stephon Diggs would be just kind of a name to slap around. I don't know how interested he would be, but Kittle would be great. I think there's a lot of other guys who are wrestling fans that would be really good too.
If he didn't
Stephon Diggs is just messy, man. I don't want to see him just them playing up the baby mama angle with him. You'd have to give me something better than that.
Something better.
I think Scatterboo would be pretty good.
Scatterboo would be good. Scatterboo would be good. There's a ton of guys who I think would be great. But Scatterboo certainly has that sort of. I think he's probably I think he was at a Raw actually a couple months ago. Now that I think about it, maybe with some teammates, but he was at an event, so he would absolutely make a ton of sense as well.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of somebody that like personality wise fits it. And again, I'm not as deep in the world, so I gave you a bad one already.
I just don't follow the personalities that much because I'm not watching their live streams and I'm not consumed with their I really don't follow a lot of the athletes, like kind of comings and goings.
Micah Parsons probably would be.
Micah Parsons would be really good. I mean, he certainly has the mouth for it. He'd be doing interviews left and right, I'd imagine. And yeah, he's also a super freak athlete and has a big personality. So yeah, I think he could easily transition over as well. I mean, they've carved out this thing where like they take a lot of college athletes now and bring them over into like an NIL program. And then they've had crossovers with certain athletes here and there. Tyrese Halliburton's randomly an NBA player who's like a huge fan, but he's also NBA built. So he's kind of awkward because he's so tall that it's just kind of weird. But I could see him getting in there and mixing it up. Bad Bunny was a great wrestler. And the one night he was out there, he's been more than one, but the one main night he was out there, he was actually incredibly good. He had one of the coolest crowds I've ever seen in Puerto Rico.
I'll just tell you, he's good at everything.
Yeah, he is. He's very talented.
He's good at everything.
Very talented, and glad everybody's on board with him doing the Super Bowl. Nobody's not happy with that, right?
Man,
dude, I have nothing. I think he's incredibly talented, and he impressed me immensely that Puerto Rico show that they did with how he performed. So, musician or athlete, there's a lot of people that have made that transition and have been pretty good. But then the people who come in, you can tell they're clearly not in it. Yeah, they get washed out pretty quickly. Travis Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go to the first trivia question. In which decade did the NFL first schedule games on Christmas Day? Ooh.
I have no earthly idea.
I have no idea. I'm gonna say the 80s because I like the reindeer.
I'm gonna say 80s just because I feel like maybe they didn't want a game on Christmas Day there for a while. Maybe it was actually like respect for the bowl game. I don't know.
And there was a strike in the 80s. Maybe they got kind of maybe pushed into it. Then,
maybe so.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the 80s. The 70s.
I'm gonna say the 70s.
Yeah, which is so much like the 80s. It was so close to the 80s. On Christmas Day, 1971, the NFL held its first holiday playoff games, highlighted by the Dolphins-Chiefs game. Miami triumphed 27-24 in double overtime on Garo Yepremian, who my dad once sat next to at a Super Bowl. 37-yard field goal, while Ed Podolak amassed 350 all-purpose yards. The contest also set a record of the longest NFL game by actual playing time, lasting 82 minutes, 40 seconds. Reactions were missed, and after an 18-year hiatus, Christmas games returned in the late 1980s, eventually becoming a cherished NFL tradition. I don't know about cherished. I think
it's been a great money grab for Netflix. That if you look at it from that standpoint, I'm sure Netflix cherishes the return on investment they're getting with the audience they had last year, and then I know they've got the double header or triple header this year again. But yeah, I guess we were wrong on that one. But there was a big return in the '80s, so we were close, I suppose, in that it came back in the '80s. But yeah, I didn't know the first one was in '71. So the more you know.
Okay, next trivia question. During the 1985 Snow Bowl between the Packers and Bucks, how many inches of snow were on the field?
Snow Bowl. I don't really have a recollection. I have a recollection of the Ice Bowl. I don't have much of a recollection of Snow Bowl.
I've seen highlights of this. Like I can see it in my head, and because I can see the Bucks in the creamsicle uniforms like sliding around.
Weird. I must have just blacked that out at some point. I have very little memory of this.
And I used to watch when I was a kid. Like I would always get like a gift, like an NFL Films, something videotape, and so just John Facenda, like in 1985 in the Snow Bowl, the Bucks slid around on Lambeau Field. Like that's what I would hear, but I have at no point do I remember, and I'm sure it was said in the video, but I have no idea. I'm gonna say
the extreme. I'm going to say 16 plus inches.
Let's go 16 plus inches. It's impractical. Whoa, there we go. Good call, Craig. December
Andrew's
1st,
like, damn you.
1985.
Thought you had this
Lambeau Field. It would have been really wild if this game was in Tampa. At Lambeau Field, saw nearly 16 inches of snowfall before and during play, creating near blizzard conditions. I love how 16 inches is just, it's not a blizzard. It's just right on the edge. Despite the storm and a record low crowd of 19,856 fans, the Packers dominated the Bucs 21-0, sacking rookie quarterback Steve Young 5 times and outgaining Tampa Bay 512-65. The extreme weather earned the matchup its nickname, the Snow Bowl. And the Bucs were so bad in the 80s. So bad. When I moved to Fort Myers in 1991, I remember my dad, we went to a Dolphins game first, it's like 3 hours away, and Tampa's 2 hours away. My dad called a buddy of his and goes, hey, how hard is it to get tickets to the Bucs games? And he goes, you probably don't even have to get them before you go. Just drive up and say, I'd like 4 tickets.
Yeah, I got family in Tampa. They absolutely sucked for forever and ever. Those uniforms sucked too. It was just a double whammy of suckage, basically. And then now it's amazing what winning can make uniforms look like. It's also amazing what different fits and fabrics can make uniforms look like, because the creamsicles were hideous. In the old uniforms, they were hideous. And now with the new helmets and the custom fit jerseys and all that, everything looks a little bit better. By the way, saw a lot of mixed reaction on the Seahawks uniforms last night. They were absolutely an Oregon ripoff, absolutely looked like they stole Oregon uniforms, but I actually thought they were pretty sweet.
Yeah, I thought
looking.
they were pretty cool, yeah.
I thought they were pretty damn cool.
What'd you think about that 2-point conversion?
That was pretty badass too. Yeah.
I mean the way it ended, the controversial call, and
I didn't know what
within the rules. Sometimes the rule, it's going to be anticlimactic and it's going to suck, but they didn't. Nobody has made an argument for me that it wasn't within the rules. They didn't misinterpret the rules. It's just that rule kind of sucks, and it happened. But if your team got that fumble and it wasn't in that exact situation, you'd be happy about that rule. But a lot of people are complaining because the whistle and all that stuff. Well, the ball landed in the end zone. That's just what happened. It's weird. Sometimes things are weird.
Yeah, that was just one of those, well, they'll have to address that now that it's been uncovered again type of a thing, right? Where it's this never happens. Oh, it's happened. And so now it's just one of those random things, I guess, that sort of happened. But I enjoyed that game, and I enjoyed those Seahawks uniforms. But yeah, I think the Bucs are a great example of how new fabrics and things can make the old things look cool again. But yeah, I have no recollection of this game whatsoever. I don't know. That was a few Coors Lights ago, I guess. I have no idea. But that one is nowhere near the Ice Bowl in my memory.
I had no friends growing up that were Bucs fans. None. That's how bad they were.
I know they were terrible.
Everybody was a Dolphins fan.
They were terrible. Yeah.
Who wins the college the playoff war in College Station? 59% went with the Aggies. 49% with the U out of 359 votes. We both picked the Aggies. We just talked about it. So
yeah, I'm going with them being at home at Kyle Field. I think Marcel Reed has a nice game, although he's going to be feeling the heat, I'd imagine, but I'll take the Aggies at home, as we've said a few times now, and will not be shocked in any way, shape. Not trying to cover I'm right on both sides. I see that a lot these days. Don't really say anything so that you're right no matter what kind of a thing. I'll just say it. I'm picking A&M to win, but I will not be surprised. I also won't take credit if Miami wins. But yeah, it would not be shocking to see them or Alabama go on the road and win these first-round playoff games.
Yeah, absolutely. Which iconic animated Christmas movie is your favorite? Rudolph at 50%, Charlie Brown Christmas at 30%, The Grinch at 15%, and Frosty at 5%.
Haven't watched any of these in a while. Like all of them, though. I think I'd probably go Rudolph. There's just a little bit more nostalgia there with that one. I feel like that's probably one of the first ones I watched, and just the animation that they use for that one compared to the regular drawings for the other three. I just think that it was stop.
It was a stop motion.
Yeah, stop motion. I find that pretty charming as well. So yeah, I like that Rudolph movie, I guess, of these 4 picks the best.
Well, I can't look at my sweatshirt. I got the Abominable Snowman.
Oh, yes.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Rudolph here. That's my guy right there. So I also like I want to be a dentist. I always thought that was funny.
Right.
You watch things as an adult. Like when I went to the Gaylord a couple years ago, I think last year was Rudolph. Last year, the ice display was Rudolph. And so I went back and watched it for the first time in years. And the things I found funny as an adult, I didn't, I probably missed as a kid, which I'm glad that they made the movie the way they did, so that they kind of knew that, like, hey, if this is a hit, their kids are going to make your parents watch it a million times. So, but yeah, it's really good. I like all of these though. The Grinch is probably my second favorite of the bunch, but I grew up a huge Dr. Seuss kid. Like I loved Dr. Seuss. So, I loved when Jim Carrey did it. I thought it was great. So, I'm a huge Grinch guy, but Rudolph is the best one because the stop motion. Yeah, storyline and all that. The nose. Loved it. It. Well, Craig, Merry Christmas, man. I'll see you on January 2nd. Enjoy the playoff, everybody. It's coming tonight.
Well, everybody, if you're going to be on vacation next week, then you won't be able to join us, then certainly understand. If you could, whatever you're going to be doing next week, hit like or subscribe on your way into the weekend. We would certainly appreciate that. Just keep us pushing forward and keep supporting this free show that we provide for you every day, talking college football and whatever else. And me and Smokey and I think Andrew and Garrett and whoever are going to be here Monday and I believe Tuesday, and we'll see how we go from there. But we will be back to talk first-round playoff games on Monday. So hit that like and subscribe and join us 3 o'clock coming up after a massive weekend for college football.
Merry Christmas, everybody.